Morning, everybody. How you doing?
Doing well, and you?
Yeah, can't complain. It's Friday. 75 degrees going to be today in Connecticut, so we'll take that.
Hi, Darren.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
Great.
Excellent. Very good. Very good.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you? I have no voice.
Uh-oh. Is it because you're participating too much in the Ignite classes?
Is that what it is?
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want. It's good.
What's the M on your shirt stand for?
It's Middletown. The town I live in, Middletown High School. So
Got it.
I actually coach football and girls lacrosse over there. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll give this a couple minutes and we'll get people in here. There's a lot of information today, so we're going to have to go through this fairly quickly here. But we'll give it a couple minutes and let some folks come in, and then we'll take it from there. Anybody have anything that they have learned this week, or something that came up that was really kind of a big aha for them, or something that was very enlightening that they want to share with everyone?
I have a listing appointment. I mean, that's a aha.
Yeah.
It's something.
That's positive. That's good. If it was a lead that you got from Ignite, then yeah, we'll take that. Absolutely. So, that's always good. The listing appointments are kind of like the ultimate. That's everything that you want to shoot for. So that is fantastic. So Linda, that's great news. Very
but I was able to, using the tools of Ignite, pretty much help me with the lead sheet and stuff like that. So using the buyer lead guide me through all the questions, because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't using it. And it led me to find out that he does have another property that he's going to be wanting to sell to actually acquire the house that he's looking to buy. So,
good. Okay.
I mean, using these sheets that we learned in the past session is super helpful.
Good. All right. That's a nice save. So I appreciate that. That's good. Thank you. So what else? Anybody else have an aha or something that they have taken away from this past week that they that really kind of shook their world, so to speak? I think I'm gonna have to report all of the folks who've taught so far and just let them know that I'm not getting much out of this here, for crying out loud, huh? So anybody?
I'm just loving the interaction and like real life scenarios. Yesterday's class was great. I loved all the classes, and then the technology pieces, things I didn't know about command. So just taking tons of notes.
No, it's good. That's good. What was the topic yesterday? That was the last one that was the last module for Spark, wasn't it? What's the topic there? I can't remember.
Day in the life.
Yeah.
Oh, was it day in the life or was it buyers and sellers?
A day in life of an agent.
Oh, okay, day in the life. Yeah, that's a good one right there. That was actually that's very enlightening. And KW actually came up with a videos. Molly DeMattos, who's one of the head trainers, she's down in North Carolina. She developed this. I guess you'd call it this course. It's called KW Prep, and anybody can actually use it. So if you have somebody in your market center or any leadership, you can ask them about it. But KW Prep is just 17 videos that talk about the day in the life of a real estate agent. So whether you're thinking about going into real estate or you're taking the exam or you're in the process of taking the exam, it's just a good set of videos to talk about what it's really like to be a realtor and things that you want to consider. So for anybody who has friends considering real estate, get them hooked up with that video series. They're all, there's 17 videos, but they're all about anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes long. So it's actually pretty quick to go through, but pretty enlightening on that. So, all right. So today, let's just get started because we do have a pretty full schedule when it comes to what we're talking about today. And today is actually an extremely important topic, a very big topic. So let me just introduce myself. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Darren. I am the productivity coach for Keller Williams Legacy Partners here in Connecticut. We've got eight offices down here. We've got over 400 agents. As a productivity coach, it's my job to make sure that everybody understands what it's like to actually get into business and to build a business that they've been dreaming about. Okay. So prior to real estate, I was actually a stuntman on Sesame Street, but that got to be a little bit boring. So I decided real estate was a way to go. So when I first started, I started at a different company and struggled mightily because I didn't have the right tools, teaching, coaching, anything in place. But once I figured it out, I said, there's got to be a better way. And then that's why I came to Keller Williams as a productivity coach so that we could actually show others how to do it and how to do it the right way so that you're not struggling. All right. So how many people here feel as though they're drinking from a fire hose right now? There's just a wealth of information, feel a little bit overwhelmed. Right? Everybody, right? Okay. And that's understandable, right? And I think I talked about this last week, but how many of us actually went to school in one way, shape, or form for real estate? Okay, so Maureen did. All right, Sharon did. Okay, well, in getting your license, right? But, in terms of any formal education before that, right? Do we have any classes in high school? Did anybody go to a college for it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Chances are probably not. So for a lot of us, this is our basically second, third, fourth career. And we feel like just having taken the exam, we should come in and be able to just run on both feet and be, the way to go, right? Fortunately, it doesn't work like that because the exam, what did it teach you? It basically scared the hell out of you because it taught you all the rules and regulations and said, don't do any of this, otherwise you lose your license. All right, what does that do for our confidence? Well, confidence is shot at that point. So we're already coming out and we're in a tight spot because we're already scared to death to do anything, which, to be honest with you, it's not that bad. Unless you're purposely trying to defraud somebody, you're not going to get in trouble. All right. And we're trying to start a business. We're all entrepreneurs. We all are basically CEOs of our own corporation. And we're all here to learn not just real estate and how to incorporate that, but how to be business owners, right? How to basically put up the billboard that says, hey, I'm a real estate specialist, come see me. How to talk to people, how to do the transaction, how to manage the finances, right? Where's my business going to go? Where do I see it 5, 6, 10 years from now? Okay. All of this comes into play. So just because we have a license, don't automatically feel as though you should know everything. Yeah, it is overwhelming. You're picking it up, whether you know it or not, you are picking this up very quickly. And before you know it, you're going to be able to have conversations. You're going to be able to talk to people and you're going to basically be able to hold your own. And you can even do it now, right? With all of us here as licensed professionals, I like to look at it this way. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, right now, for all of us coming out of school and getting our license and beginning our real estate journey, we're at about a 7 or an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. All right, you know a lot more than you give yourself credit for. All right, so have confidence in yourself. Now, all the other people that we talk to, even though they probably don't think it, they're on a scale, they're about 2 or 3, maybe. All right, so there's a big gap between what you know and what they think they know. So go out there and handle yourself as a professional, have that confidence and go out and talk to people because you'll be surprised how much you do know and how much you're picking up, especially from this course. It may seem like a lot, but if you go through it once, maybe twice, review your notes on a regular basis, you're going to pick this up very, very quickly. Okay. Everybody good with that? Any questions at all before we get started? Ian, you got a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You breezed over something really quickly, being a stuntman on Sesame Street. And I'm sorry, I can't stop thinking about that.
Okay.
Could you explain that? Just what is a stuntman on Sesame Street? I'm sorry, but I'm distracted by it.
Yeah, that was just a joke. That was serious. I'm just seeing if anybody's paying attention.
I took
You
it
get the
totally
gold-
seriously. I
Nope.
couldn't stop thinking about it.
Ian, you get the gold star for today because you were paying attention, and that is one of the critical skills
I
that
didn't want to
every real estate
embarrass
specialist
anybody.
needs to know. No, that's listening.
I had
Listening
to
is one of
ask.
the
I
top
had
skills.
to.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. That's good. That makes me feel better because people are at least listening to me in the beginning, which is good. give it about a half hour. I'll put you to sleep pretty quick. Okay. All right. But thank you for that. I appreciate it. So yeah, I said Ernie does his own stunts. Yep. Yeah. It was tough working with him. He didn't want me to, said, you don't look anything like me. I don't want you doing any of my own stunts. So absolutely.
Very
So,
funny.
I was wondering, I was sitting here,
You're
Darren, like,
welcome.
wow, I never knew that of Darren.
I used to say in the past that I was a professional javelin catcher and nobody picked up on that. But you throw in Sesame Street and then all of a sudden everybody says like, wow, okay, great. I'm curious about that one. Never heard of that.
Everybody knows Ernie's a bit of a diva. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Right up there with Miss Piggy and the Muppets, right? There you go. So awesome. Well, thanks, Ian. That's good. Nice to hear that everybody's paying attention, or most people anyway. So that's cool. All right, good. Perfect. Let me share my screen with everyone here too. I should ask, are there any other questions besides that one? No, we're good. Okay. If you have questions, just feel free to get off of mute and interrupt me. I like making this more of a dialogue than a monologue. So as many, if there's anything here that's just not clear or you need me to elaborate or go into more discussion, definitely let me know. Okay. All right. So today we're going to be talking about one of the essential skills that you need to basically start and grow your business. It's called prospecting. All right. And prospecting is extremely important. I said this last Friday, I'll probably say it again today, and just even in the 10 minutes that we started this, is anybody's phone, rung right now, basically saying like, hey, I want you to come list my house, or, I want you to come help me buy a house? Probably not, because nobody knows that we are a licensed real estate specialist. So in order for us to really get things off the ground and get going, we need to go out, we need to prospect. And that's one of the key ingredients of lead generation. Now, the critical thing that you have to remember about prospecting is that you're going to be doing this for the longest time. All right. The key to being successful when it comes to prospecting is taking consistent action. I can't stress that enough. You need to take consistent action. And the reason for that is that even if you get into the mode where you get a transaction and you're working on it and you're thrilled and you follow it all the way to the end, okay, if you're not prospecting every day while that transaction is going on, you will not have any other business to continue beyond that. And this is something that you're going to have to prospect up to the point that your database is grown where it can actually feed you leads and can actually give you referrals. I know a lot of agents that have been in this business for a while, and they have anywhere from maybe 600 to 1,500 people in their database. And to be honest with you, they don't basically prospect or lead generate at all anymore, because they're getting such a good amount of business from the folks that are in their database, and they're getting enough referrals that it actually feeds itself, and they're happy with that, and they're making great money. They have a tremendous business, and that works for them. So prospecting is going to help you to build up that business and get you to the point where your business is going to be self-sufficient. Now, if you want to go beyond that and grow it to much bigger scale, then yeah, there's going to be other things you need to do. However, that's for down the road. For right now, it's just important for us to get the word out there that we are actually a real estate specialist. All right. We want to go out and want to start having real estate conversations. Biggest thing is real estate conversations. So when we talk about growing our business, okay, this is a list about growing and running our business. The biggest thing that we're doing here is we're talking about lead generation for buyers and sellers. And we're talking about one piece of lead generation, which is the prospecting side of it. All right. So can anybody actually define what prospecting is? When I say prospecting, which is probably an ugly and scary word, what is that exactly?
Basically asking for the business.
Asking for the business. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's one in which we're actually having direct contact with folks that we're talking to, right? We're having a one-to-one conversation with folks. All right. And that's important because we're going to have purposeful and intentional conversations with these people to find out about real estate, which we're going to talk about in a second. But prospecting is us going out and talking to people, letting them know that we are real estate specialists and just seeing if we can help them. All right. Now we call it direct as opposed to marketing, which is indirect. And you're going to learn about that, I believe, on Monday, the marketing side of it. Marketing is more indirect. Prospecting is one-to-one. Marketing is one-to-many. All right. Prospecting is us being proactive. Marketing is us being reactive, because whereas when we're prospecting, we're talking to people, we're reaching out, we're the one that are taking action. In marketing, people are actually coming to us. and actually reaching out to us to see if we can help them out. All right. But two essential components to us in our business. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about prospecting and what it means as part of the overall lead generation strategy. We're going to go into some of the methods. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to take action and we're going to come up with a plan that works for us. All right. And again, this plan isn't something that's going to be set in stone, but it's your first step, because what we're doing is we're experimenting. We're taking action. We're seeing if it works. If it doesn't, we tweak it and we adjust it. All right. Not everything that you do right out of the gate is going to work, but you've got to basically experiment and come up with what works for you. And then finally, we're going to come up with our success list, and then we're going to review any of our daily success habits. All right. Now, just to let everybody know too, we're going to have a couple of breaks at the top of each hour. So at 9 o'clock and at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, we're going to actually have some breaks. We'll do 5-10 minute break at that point. All right. So has anybody ever seen this diagram before? Anybody know what this is?
Yes.
Funnel.
Okay, it's a funnel. It's a funnel. And this is basically your entire lead generation process from beginning to end. And some of this looks very similar to the pipeline that you see in the opportunities section of Command, right? Can anybody actually pick out the flow from this funnel to what you have in Command? Has anybody seen the opportunity pipeline in Command at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So some of you have, some of you haven't. What I would suggest is when you go into Command, take a look at, just click on opportunities, and you're going to see that it's in there. This is also too as well the goal setting that we did on Friday, the pipeline for goals. So coming from leads all the way down to closings. When we set our goals last Friday, it followed very similar, almost identical process that's here. But essentially, prospecting and marketing, that's the first way you kick off everything you do. All right. Without prospecting and marketing as part of your lead generation, right? The two of them combined is your lead generation. Then you don't have anything else, because the prospecting and the marketing, it gives you the leads. And the leads are people that we haven't talked to yet. But once we have a conversation, they become a contact. And then from there, we continue to cultivate. Now, cultivate is another word for follow-up. And I will say that follow-up, okay, is essential to your prospecting. Just because we call somebody once, we can't expect them to remember us. All right. And if we call them and we don't get a hold of them, then that doesn't mean that it's a bad contact or a bad lead. What that means is like, okay, didn't get them this time, I'm going to try again tomorrow. And then the day after that, and the day after that, and so on and so forth. We'll talk about that a little bit. So let me ask you something. How often should you prospect? Because there's 3 times that you should prospect. How often should you prospect?
Every day.
Every day. Yep. The 3 times you should do it are always, always, and always. Okay. Because like I said before,
I was gonna say morning, noon, and night.
that's the same thing. Actually, absolutely. That's perfect. That's great. But think about this. Anybody remember what a typewriter is? How many of you remember that, right?
Yeah.
I remember that. I'm old. Okay. Back in the day, we actually used to carve our books in stone with chisels and hammers. That's how far back I go, right? But the typewriter was invented. And when that came through, what it did was you type to the end of a sentence and then would go back to the beginning and type through. Don't let your business run like a typewriter. And basically what that is once you get your first transaction, you're going to follow it from beginning to end. And you'll be like, yeah, this is great. This is terrific. It was a great experience. Now what do you got? Nothing. Right? We talked about how essential it is to continue to lead generate. So yes, while you're helping that first transaction, even that second one, every day you're working in some sort of lead generation and prospecting that's in there. Because honestly, that time that you take off, whether it's 2 days, whether it's a week or 2, and you decide, yeah, I don't need to do this. Okay. Then mark on your calendar 45 to 60 days from that point and just write in no business. Okay. Because it's like water flowing through a hose. If you get an air bubble in there, you got to wait for that air bubble to come all the way out the other end before the water can flow through. And that's what taking time off from your lead generation is going to do. It's like acting like the air bubble. All right. Because honestly, you don't have to lead generate, but you also don't have to be in real estate. Yeah, I hate to tell you that, but without lead generation and prospecting, you're not going to have any business. So if I said to everyone today that if you needed business today, if you had to have business immediately, all right, what would you do?
Start calling people.
Start calling, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
I need business right away. And I'm not to interrupt you, but I have a database that is just about to be birthed. And I have no clue what to do with people that I've put in there for,
And
they've,
this is, no,
there's,
Stephen,
no, that's okay.
Yeah.
I've worked with them 25, 30, 15 years ago, and I don't mean to interrupt the class, but I mean,
No.
it's like I'm at the edge of a precipice.
Yep. Well, this class is going to be good for you. All right. This is going to be good. And here's the thing. We're going to go over exactly what you have to say and what you do to reach out to those folks. Okay. We're going to talk about that in a second as part of what we do here, but that's excellent. That's a great point. Having a database, and everybody has a database. All right. These are the first people that you reach out to. All right. So Stephen, I asked people to interrupt, so don't worry about that. That's a great point. But database, start with your database. Why do we start off with the people that we know? Why do we start off with our database or data bank, however they want to call it here? Ian, you got your hand raised there.
Yeah, they also have programs that you pay and that generate leads for you.
Mhm.
I'm kind of talking to Steve. I don't know if you have the assets aside to where you can afford that, because it can be kind of pricey, but they say it can be worth it. So I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So basically, let's go buy some leads when we don't have money because we spent a bunch of money to get our license and to pay for the board and MLS. So let's go out and get further into debt and buy some leads and talk to people who have no idea who we are and try to convince them to work with us, right? That is basically things that agents do in the beginning. Is they jump into that without even knowing what to do, or they go to a company that's going to provide them leads. Okay, now that's a misnomer because of the fact that you've got basically people that are just ready, willing, and able to work with you right now. They just don't know that you're in real estate, and that is your database. Those are the people that you know. The biggest team that we have in our office, they just actually are passed as a $1 million producer. They actually got an award from Gary Keller last week for being $1 million producer, the Matt Miali team. Matt Miali has been in business for about, 15 years. He's got a monstrous team, like 30 people on there. He stresses so much, that you are not to pay for leads. He hates paying for leads. He does not want anybody to pay for leads. He doesn't pay for leads, And he comes from the standpoint of same thing that I do, where honestly, there's plenty of leads that are out there that are just sitting right in front of you. All right. So everybody jumps to the most difficult way to get business, and it doesn't work for them. And then they get crushed and they leave the business. Reach out to your database. These people know you already. Half the battle is won. They already know you. They like you. And people are only going to do business with people they know and they like, right? How many people do business based on referrals where, say like, listen, my air conditioning broke down. I need to find somebody. So you call up a friend, say like, hey, who did you use? You don't just start going out there and looking randomly at things. You ask people who've done business or people who know people, right? So it's always based on people that you know and like and trust. Reach out to these people and introduce yourself as a real estate specialist. There's 3 words that you can use to start any conversation. How are you? How are you? Talking about, I was talking with an agent yesterday who's been in the business for about maybe 17, 20 years, something like that. But the way that she lead generates is she calls all of her clients. Every day she spends 3 hours calling everybody in her database. And she asks them, how are you doing? How's the family? If she's missing information, she gets information from them. She talks to them about work. They ask her how work is going. So now you're reinforcing the fact that you're in real estate, right? And she has purposeful and intentional conversations. And we're going to talk about that in a second, all right? But you've got a lot of people that are out there in your phone, any email addresses you have, and especially in social media, right? How many people have 100, 200, 3,000, 5,000 people that they're connected with? All right, it doesn't matter if they live near you or anywhere else in the world. Those are people that are looking to do something in real estate because every person, in the US or in the world, maybe, all right, is going to do 7 real estate transactions in their lifetime. Not agents. We're just talking about people in general. On average, do about 7 real estate transactions. They buy their first condo or they rent an apartment and they buy a house, then they upgrade to another house, they get a second house, and there's buys and sells and all that stuff. We want to get out there. We want to get in front of these people. So Steve, I would say you start calling everyone and anyone in there. All right. And we're going to talk about a couple of ways you can do it. Just call everybody and just start the conversation just to let them know that you're a real estate specialist. If they know of anybody or they're thinking about doing anything, to contact you, plain and simple. First conversation is the easiest one right there, right?
I'm not so sure that that's the best approach for me at this point, but I appreciate your.
Okay.
your-
So
your
tell me more
dread on
about
me,
that.
Because,
What-
because I think I'd feel way more comfortable reaching out by email or something, with a mass blast to everybody and sort of throw a wide net.
Okay. So what do you do? What do you do when you get a generic email from somebody that you know is a template that they just threw your first name into the first line? What do you do with that?
It depends. I guess it wouldn't be it would be followed up with with some communication. And it's not like I'm gonna hope, throw it out and hope for the best. And I think there's got to be a better way of just like call. I used to get calls from people that I used to play hockey with, or and hey, Steve, remember me? I used to play hockey with you. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm selling insurance now, and I'm like, all right, like immediately. Okay, man, great to hear from you. And
Hey, Stephen, can I interrupt you for a second?
sure,
What's your limiting belief right now?
my limiting belief. I'm not sure.
When that guy called you and introduced himself, what did he say he was doing?
Well, I mean, generally when people who are
No, but
acquaintances,
you just said it. You just said it. What did he say he was doing? He called you up. He's like,
well,
"Hey,
he's
play
selling
hockey."
insurance.
Right.
Selling insurance.
The key word is selling. What are you selling right now?
Well, not selling really anything. I'm here to help them with their
Exactly.
real estate
Exactly.
needs. I understand
Exactly.
that part, but
Mhm.
so it's not going to be a hard like, hey man, I'm in your face. Will you sign this? Will you sign this for me? I know, I understand that, but I was talking to a realtor who's been in this business for 40 years last night.
Mhm.
And so I connected with one of those people on my database. And he said, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're in real estate. That's fantastic, right? I'm saving up for a down payment. And within the next couple of years, I'm going to be looking to buy and I will keep you in mind.
Mhm.
And he said, this realtor tells me, you shouldn't have just let him go. I mean, you should have said now is the time and you should have put pressure and blah, blah. I'm like, So it's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird dynamic, I think.
Yeah, honestly, here's what it is. You're thinking of it as sales, and you're thinking of it as, somebody just put in there selling yourself. All right. And you're thinking about essentially like, oh my God, I now have to go tell people that, I'm going to be just like every other person trying to sell something. All right. You're not. All right. Let's just remove this limiting belief. We all think that we're in sales. I'm going to tell you right now, we are not in sales. The only time that we're in sales is when we're marketing the house that we're listing there. Okay. We are not salespeople. We're real estate consultants. All right. How many of you actually have an inventory of Cape Cods and Colonials that are sitting in your backyard right now that you need to unload for President's Day sales or the upcoming Easter weekend or whatever it is? All right. How many of you have that? Nobody. So it's not as though we're actually in that business. I'm just going to help to reframe this for everybody. We are real estate specialists. And think about this, consultant, specialist, whatever you want. All right. And the thing is that everybody thinks that you're going to go in there and all you got to do is you got to sell and say, like, listen, you got to sign with me. You got to sign with me. It's like, no, 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 no. Okay. We are real estate consultants. What do consultants do? Consultants ask questions. All right. Think of it from the standpoint of a doctor. All right. Reframe it from a doctor format. When you go into a doctor, does a doctor basically come in the office saying, hey, I'm Dr. Geddick. I just want to tell you about that. I've done so many heart surgeries and I help people with their feet and I can diagnose an earache and stuff like that. So, hey, why don't you come sign and work with me? It's like, no, doctor comes in, is like, dude, what's wrong? What's going on? Tell me a little bit about what's happening. Why is that important to you? What's happening here? Start asking questions, right? Comes from the investigation standpoint. And when we're talking to people, all right, I'm going to go to this next page because this is important. All right. When we're talking to people, what we're doing is we're having conversations with them. All right. We're making it personal, right? Because nobody wants to be part of a email chain that goes out to 10,000 people, right? They want to get that phone call that basically says, hey, how is everything going? I saw on Facebook that you just came back from a trip to Arizona. How was the trip, right? Hey, look, do you know of anybody who's looking to do anything real estate related? If so, just let them know that I'm here, just reminding you of that fact. That's all, plain and simple. But if somebody actually raises their hand and says, we're actually thinking about buying, we're saving up for a down payment, and we're thinking about a couple years from now, we're going to do that. Well, that's awesome. That's great. Tell me more about that. What are you looking to do? Why are you looking to buy? What's going on? Start diving into that, right? From your standpoint, you're thinking right now that like, well, I didn't know to ask them those questions, which is great. It's fine. You're brand new. You're not sure what questions to ask. How many of us out here have the script books for Ignite or for the Ignite script books, Element and Spark, right? If you have that, fine. If not, let me know. We can actually get you a copy, but you should have gotten that in the beginning, and they're out there. Scripts, okay? Don't associate them with sales. I made that mistake. I said, scripts are not for me. I tried to wing it on several occasions, got my ass handed to me, all right? One time was a FISBO who happened to be a little old lady. I could tell right over the phone. It was not pretty. Scripts are guides, and those are the ways that you can actually ask the questions to investigate further. Because if somebody raises their hand and says, yeah, I'm looking to buy, all right, number one, we found out their real estate intention. Number two, we want to find out their timing. They told us in a couple of years. So like, okay, what's important about a couple of years from now? Well, we got to save up for a down payment. Okay, great. Completely understandable, right? Absolutely. I can certainly appreciate that. So tell me, have you talked to a lender at all just to kind of see where you're at? Well, no, we just figured that we would wait a little bit longer. Okay, great. So certainly see that, but not sure if you know this, but interest rates, yeah, well, they're low. They're not at historical lows. They're starting to creep up a little bit. Not only that, but there's several programs that are out there that, your down payment doesn't have to be as big as you probably think it is. Tell you what, why don't we get together, maybe chat a little bit about the process? What I can do is I can actually bring in one of the lenders that I'm working with just to talk with you. That's all it is, just to get an idea of where you're at. And then to say, well, you may need a couple more months to save some money. That's fine. At least you know where you're at. No harm, no foul. And we can kind of keep an eye on what's going on out there. Break it out into a way that you can help them.
You
Right?
sound-
As a doctor, as a consultant.
You sound just like the realtor I spoke with last night.
Actually, Darren, I can actually let him know there was a lead last year. And I'm not even gonna lie, because Darren knows that, I had a tough time trying to get into all this material last year, but I had a lead last year. And to be honest with you, it's called about what he said, cultivate and nurture that lead. And they're actually ready to buy now, but I kept communication with them since last year until now. And finally she's like, you know what, Linda, I'm ready to buy a house. She just thought of me because I kept communicating with them throughout the whole time that they were waiting to buy a home. There was another one that they had, her husband had issues with his credit. There's credit repair specialists that you can, send them to. And guess what? Her and her husband are working on their credit and they'll be ready within the next 3 months.
Yeah,
So that's a lead that we weren't thinking of, but it's there. So when it does come in, it's something that you've been cultivating and building a relationship, and they're going to think of you.
Right.
No,
Linda,
I mean,
that's great.
it's not about now, it's about keeping them going. So that way, when they are ready, they're going to think of you. They're not going to think of anyone else.
Right. And listen, when you talk to them, okay, you need to be the expert. You need to be basically the leader of the conversation. You need to be the person who has the license. Okay. If somebody goes into a doctor's office, all right, and they say, well, my knee hurts, so I'm thinking I tore my ACL, and I'm thinking we should probably do one of those surgeries that basically goes in and, essentially resets the ACL and does all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Do you think a doctor will let somebody self-diagnose? No. All right. They have a problem. We're here to help them to diagnose it. Now, it could be a situation where maybe it's next year. And to Linda's point, then we're going to continue to follow up with them. And that's our business for next year, right? Or maybe sooner if they're able to save money. But don't let them self-diagnose the problem. You're the expert. You can actually talk to them and say, hey, listen, let's talk about this a little bit more. Let's dive in a little bit more. And you mentioned the person who'd been in business, who's a realtor for 40 years. How do you think they survived for 40 years? Or however long it was. I'm not sure how long you said, but to be in this business for longer than 2, 3, 5 years, okay, that's pretty substantial right there. So they must be doing something right. So while you're taking it from the standpoint of being salesy, we want to come from the standpoint of helping people. We're coming from contribution, right? What if you actually called a cousin of yours and cousin said like, oh, I didn't know that you were in real estate. I actually just signed with so-and-so over here at this realty company. And you know damn well that that other person is not that good. But because of the fact that you didn't want to call them because it was uncomfortable and you thought it was going to be salesy, they signed with somebody else and now they're having a bad experience. You know how I can speak from that? Because it happened to me. I sent out cards with my names on them. I said, hey, you know, at the other company, and I sat back and I waited. And I happened to talk to my cousin. She's like, yeah, I just bought a condo. I'm like, wait, what? How did that happen? Well, I forgot that you were a real estate agent. Went with somebody else. Terrible experience, terrible. And now I feel bad because of that, right? So it's a matter of getting our mindset around the fact that like we are consultants and specialists, but we've got to get the word out there. And the only way to do that is to go out and have conversations with people. And the reason why it's uncomfortable to have conversations is because we don't know what conversations to have. And that's why the script books are in there. The script books will actually give you the template for how to say it. Now, we're not going to sit here and we're not going to read this and say like, hi, remember me? I'm from, no, that's not the way it is. It gives you kind of a way to have the conversation and get the point across. And remember, we're looking for two things, the real estate intention and the real estate timing. Okay. So for us to go to somebody who doesn't even know us, number one, we've got to develop that rapport. How challenging is that? If you get a call from somebody who's a complete stranger, do you trust them right off the bat? Do you want to do business with this person? Do you want to trust them with the largest asset purchase or asset sale of your entire life up to this point? Probably not, or it's a stretch if you do, okay? But it takes extra work. Go with the low-hanging fruit. People you know, start off with them, all right? Now, Steve, I don't know if I convinced you on that. I don't know if I helped out with it, but, you know.
Well, in some way you did, in some way it puts me in another precarious position of, oh my gosh, now I have to touch base with, you know, all these people all the time, constantly.
Okay.
It's overwhelming, actually.
But here's the thing, though. If you've got a whole bunch of people to reach out to, that's not a problem. That's a godsend right there. You know?
That's a lucky star right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
that way. I mean, honestly, if somebody had 500 people in their database, I said, oh my God, get out there. You want to get out there as fast as possible so they don't use somebody else. Just talk to them.
Well,
How many of us?
Actually, I have a lot of people. I know a lot of people, and I'm not. It's not a brag. It's somebody was just mentioning who's helping with my database. They're like, I can't believe you know this many people. And I said, yeah, but I've working in another field for 35 years, of course. But you know, as far as know them, I mean, I have a business card from them. I don't even. I can look at the names, and I couldn't even tell you what shoot or what. I work in television and film. I actually work for PBS. Anyway,
That's good though.
So it is overwhelming. I mean, I just figured first touch them with an email blast and then go in for the picks, but I can't possibly talk to all these people, you know.
Yeah, but an email blast is marketing, and when we get marketing, it's like, okay, yeah, it doesn't really do anything for me. What would you rather have? Would you rather have an email that was sent to 10,000 people and with my name in the header, or would you rather have a one-to-one personal phone call? If somebody I met 10 years ago at a conference and called me up and said, hey, listen, I'm not sure if you remember me, but blah, 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 what happened? All right. What makes you feel better?
No doubt the personal touch, but how long does it take to get through 500, 1,500, 1,000 people?
Well, let's see.
Let's see.
Absolutely.
How many links does it take to get to the center? I mean, it's
right. But Steven, I got to tell you,
how long are you going to work in real estate? So you have a job.
No, this is the. I'm not a sprinter. I was actually.
You don't have to be.
No, I'm just saying. I actually look at this as a marathon, and I know that. But what you're saying is that it's time, and you got to get to them before someone else does, and that creates this like angst that this. Because I have a similar experience as you. You know, I mean, someone said, "Oh yeah, well I knew you were getting your license, but I didn't know that I could go to you." You know, it happens all the time. I think every day.
But see, these people are raising their hands and they're basically saying, "I need help with real estate," and you're just like, Okay, great, thanks. Let me know when you're ready. It's like, no, they're ready right now. They're telling you right now they need some sort of direction and guidance. And you're just, you got to take it from the standpoint of like, okay, well, let's dive into a little bit more and see if I can help you. Right. Now,
Right.
maybe like Linda mentioned, if somebody's in a credit repair situation, they're not ready yet. However, we're their one-stop shop. Just like if they needed a plumber, we could provide that. Then if they need a credit repair specialist, okay, let's provide that. And let's stay in touch with them. So when they are ready, to Linda's point, whether it's 2 months or 6 months or 9 months down the road, we're there for them, right? I think you've got to basically get out of the limiting mindset that you have that like, oh, I don't want to talk to these people. They're not going to want to hear from me. Is that 100% true? No.
Well, no, I mean, it's not that I don't think they don't want to hear from me. It's just that I think I don't see how it's humanly possible for one person. That's why I think technology can work better for you. But I don't know much about anything, frankly. And I never really worked the business that I'm in now. I never worked it nearly as much as I'm thinking and doing now with this. So
yeah, because you're an entrepreneur now, Stephen. You're an entrepreneur, and you got to get the word out there. If you look at Coca-Cola puts billboards up everywhere and they run commercials everywhere because they need to remind you that they're still out there, right?
Right.
Okay. Same thing with us. And all I'm saying is that, yeah, technology is great. And what your follow-up is going to be and your marketing is going to be technology based. All right. I'm not saying not to do the email. You will do the email as part of the smart plans in command. You're going to learn that in a little bit. Okay. Not in here, but over the course of the next couple of days. So our initial reach out and prospecting is going to be us having that one-to-one dialogue. And we're going to talk about, some of that as we go through this, but it's better to have that personal one-to-one touch as opposed to that generic email that goes out. I get emails from other realtors at other firms all the time, and they all say the same thing. St. Patty's Day yesterday, I got 7 or 8 of them, and they all pretty much had the same exact thing. Does that do anything for me? No. If one of these realtors reached out to me with a personal phone call and chatted with me, that might mean something. And that's what we want to do. We already know these people. It's just a matter of just letting them know that we're in real estate. That's all. And yeah, 1,500 people can be a little bit daunting. Absolutely. But you know something? I would say that to have a database of 1,500 people, and don't let anybody hear me, say this, but you don't have to go out and do anything for lead generation beyond reaching out to the folks in your database, right? We talk about reaching out to people we know and people we don't know. Once you've got the wall around the people that you know, then you can add people you don't know to that database. I got a guy that I've worked with for about 11 years. Great realtor, phenomenal realtor. Okay, this guy is fantastic. He has a database of 600 people, and he is full-time. He does tremendous amount of business. He actually got away from talking to his database and spent a year calling expireds, and actually saw his business drop dramatically and said, whoa, hold on a second here. What's going on? Went back, reevaluated, left the expireds and refocused on his database. He said out of the 600 that he has, he's got about maybe, I would say like 40 or 50 that give him consistent business from them and constant referrals. Okay.
Thanks so much for the insight.
No, absolutely. Hopefully I didn't discourage you or anything like that. I just want to let you know that you actually are in a very good position. And what we need to do is we need to get comfortable with what we have to say and comfortable with how we present it. And that's why the scripts are a great way to do that. And Linda could probably attest to that too, because she sat in on our daily script practice and role play. Once you get comfortable with how to have those conversations, it makes your life so much easier. I would say that the scripts are the #1 tool that you can use in this business.
Yeah. I think that when you get a business card, it's unfortunate, but I think you can't put it on a shelf for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. I think that's really what it comes down to. I'm not so sure they're a contact anymore or a lead.
I would challenge that.
Okay. All right.
I would say that, if you have a number in your phone and you have no idea what that number is in your contact,
Okay. Yeah.
and I would sit there and say, like, something, I'm going to call it this person and be like, something, I got your number in my phone, but I honestly don't know how we know each other. Can you just refresh my memory here? Maybe okay.
Yeah.
Or,
at least you get to the bottom of whether they are open to you or closed to you, you know?
and here's the thing too, if they say, well, no, I'm sorry, that person doesn't have a phone. This is somebody else, a new number. Okay, great. Well, you know something? I made it a point this year to go through my phone and talk to every single person that's in here and just find out how I know them or see if there's some way that I can help. But I'm a real estate specialist. And do you mind if I ask you, what's your real estate intention for the year? Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask.
So even if you get someone on the phone that you dial that number and it's
Oh, yeah.
someone that you don't even know, or that it wasn't the person, you can actually make that into a plus.
Oh, absolutely. That's where those scripts come in. I would sit there,
Right.
absolutely. And if somebody hung up on me, I'd call them right back and say, like, I'm sorry, I think we got disconnected, but I just, why not?
Well, it's funny because I've actually tried a few of the numbers, and I told the person, hey, I think I met you at church, blah, 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 blah. And they were like,
Absolutely.
they went cold. And I was actually close, not a close friend, but I knew them pretty well. And I was put back that they didn't take me up on my conversation. But
Okay. Well, here's the
Anyway.
thing. We got to get used to the fact that not everybody's going to be in a happy and a joyous mood. People are living life. They've got things
Right.
going on.
yeah,
You're gonna
I
find out
realized
that
that. I
people are living
realized
life.
that.
But that's
Yeah.
fine. You caught them on a bad day.
Right,
No big
right,
deal.
right.
But you know something? They knew you. They remembered you. That's great. You reached out. How many of
Right.
us would love to get a phone call from somebody that we haven't talked to in 10 years and just kind of, shoot the stuff, so to speak, for a little bit? Okay, great. Now, that person that gets that one phone call, you probably made their day. We get to do this maybe 10, 20 times a day, and we get the benefit of doing that multiple times, right?
Mm.
So, Eric, I'm sorry, you got your hand raised
All
up?
right, thanks.
Yeah, I was just going to throw just a little tidbit out there for what it's worth. Our market center had a panel with everybody from the leadership committee, basically our top producers sitting there, and every single one of them at some point or another during this discussion and Q&A said that their business is based on talking to people. I mean, none of them. I mean, I know that like it's kind of implied that part of a touch plan is an email or a text or whatever, but every single one of them spoke to the power of having a conversation. And so, I mean, that whenever, and so I would, so something I would suggest is if you're having a challenging time wrapping your brain around it, go speak to the people at your own market center who are the top producers and ask them what they do. I mean, I get it. We're all new. We're all kind of looking for what works for us, but what works for everybody tends to be the same thing. And if you talk to to the people who are in the top 1% of your market center, I feel pretty confident saying that they'll validate that. And so, it's just kind of a matter of accepting.
Mm-hmm. And something, that's a great point, Eric. Just if you go and you talk to those top producers and you explain to them your situation where you have 1,500 people in your database and you're thinking of buying leads, I guarantee you 100% of them will tell you, don't buy leads. Don't start going down that route. Okay, don't start. Just cultivate the people that you have, and that should be plenty. So let me just take like a quick poll. You can put it in the chat or you can raise your hand or something like that. But how many people are feeling the same way as Steven, just out of curiosity? Now, there's no right or wrong answer or anything like that. But how many people are feeling the same way, right? Okay, Mitchell, yep. Okay, because I'm sure this is probably common. Frank, Ian, oh yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's plenty of more people that are feeling the same thing. It's like, oh my God, okay, why should I talk to the people that I know? All right, why am I going to do this? What am I going to say? I'm going to sound salesy, okay? Reframe that. You're calling to find out if you can help them, right? You're calling to find out how you can help them. And what we do is we basically find out, it's like, listen, what does your real estate future look like? If you know of anybody who's looking to buy or sell, can you send them my way? Let me know. I'd love to do business with you or somebody that get things off the ground, right? People are going to want to help you out. We're already putting into our head, it's like, okay, well, they're going to say this and they're not going to like me and they're going to think I'm selling them something. It's like, no. Do you know that for a fact? How many of us have actually made the calls and talked to people that are out there?
Can I share a little bit?
Sure, go right ahead.
So, coming from a teaching background,
you're kind of locked in, you're like in a bubble and you can't really, you're not allowed to use your phone and now that technology is in, it's a little more
Yeah.
open, but we
Mhm.
weren't even allowed to, as teachers, to carry our phones, although some school districts do allow and encourage, but
Yeah.
I felt, I have to tell you, like with real estate now, I feel so free. Like I can have a conversation with anybody I want to. And that's what I've been doing. And I've gotten a lot of leads that way, even just down the road and referrals and, nothing immediate, but I really do feel like I'm just free to have any conversation I want to, anytime I want to. I'm not so regimented. I can use the bathroom whenever I want now.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a little TMI, but that's how I feel about conversations too. So maybe look at it from that perspective that you can talk to people you haven't spoken to in a very long time.
Yeah.
It's freeing.
And that's a great point. Thank you, Joe. That's a great point. You've got, what you have to do is we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. All right. Our growth mindset should be taking over at this point, saying like, okay, because somebody even put in here said, you think it's beneficial to join a team when you're having trouble starting with a small database. It's like, look, that's for you to decide. Okay. When people come to me and ask me if they should join a team or they should go solo, it's up to them. Really, you've got to find out what works for you. And teams have different pay structures, responsibilities, cultures, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But that's up to you to decide, right? And I would say that, you know, people say, "Well, I got a small database. I don't know anybody." You would be surprised. Start looking at your sources of information, like you said, the phone, social media, email, all of that. Okay, because honestly, you've got of multiple areas where you know people. Okay, if you can actually get your hands on it, get your hands on the bold. It's 150 questions. Oh, it's bold memory jogger. Okay, ask somebody in your market center for the bold memory jogger, because things like the person who delivers your mail, right? Do you know that person's name? If not, have a conversation.
Mhm.
How about the person who actually sits at the front desk of your dentist who basically checks you in when you get there? All right. There's so many people that are out there that you come in daily contact with. How about the person that probably prepares your
Aaron, one
coffee?
of them is the receptionist at my son's dentist office.
There you go. All right.
We just talked and she
Mhm.
wanted to buy a house the following year. So I just kept
Yep.
talking to her and now she's ready. So
Now, Linda said that, in the beginning, you said that you were scared and you were nervous when you first started
I
out. You were
was.
second guessing everything, right? But what made the difference for you now?
You.
Well,
I'm
thank you, but
but I was super nervous. I just was like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? I hate just feeling like I was pushy, but after speaking to Darren, because he is a coach, there's a lot of coaches out there that you can actually have them mentor you and help you, guide you through the steps. But I was scared. I'm not even gonna lie. It took me a while before I felt comfortable, and now I just can't shut up. Everywhere I go, I talk about it. I went to a birthday party, talked about it, and I actually have someone that said, you know what, when I'm ready to sell my house, I'm gonna call you. And again, it's just pushing yourself to that uncomfortable feeling. Just push yourself. Once you push
Mhm.
yourself, it doesn't hold you back anymore.
right.
Linda, do you use the scripts?
Yes, 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 I do. I actually, I was dealing with a buyer and the one that's now looking to list, and I did use my script. And to be honest with you, he was dealing with a realtor that he was uncomfortable with because he felt that they were pushy. And I just was like, you know what? No problem. Like the signed agreement. He was like, I don't feel comfortable with that. I just don't. And I was like, okay, we'll go see the property. I'm still going to have you sign the agreement because legally I need to represent you to enter these homes. So let's go ahead and just make it for the day and we'll just meet each other and see how you feel meeting me and talking to me. He was like, yeah, I just feel that it's uncomfortable when people just say, hey, by the way, I'm just going to have you sign an agreement. I don't feel comfortable with that. And throughout the whole conversation with him, I called him back again, spoke to him, then I spoke to his wife. And before you know, we had a 40-minute conversation on the phone. His wife got on speakerphone, and before you knew, they set up an appointment with me for a listing. And I did use my scripts.
Yep.
I did. I mean, I'm not going to use the script word for word, but I kept like, okay, what script? And let me just keep going over my scripts. And I felt comfortable to use some of the verbiage that's on there on that phone call. And I'll be honest with you, it works. It's, we think it will not work, but
Yeah.
the scripts work. They do work.
I can't tell you how many times, and Linda, thank you for that. Apparently I owe you money for something, so I appreciate the kind words there and all that stuff. So, but I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said what Linda said. It's like, oh my God, this works. Well, yeah, that's the case. Put the scripts out there, no matter where you go, whether it's KW or you just search on Google, the scripts are generally the same, but they're there for a reason, for a purpose. The people out there don't know the scripts, okay? We should have an understanding of the scripts, and that's basically that helps you to unlock the conversation. The reason why it's uncomfortable for everybody here, and that's why I asked, because the majority of you, I'm sure, are going through this, is because we don't know. Okay, we don't know what to say. We have no idea, but the scripts are going to guide you. And in this business, to be an entrepreneur, you got to get out of your comfort zone. All right. You have to get in that growth mindset. You have to get out of your comfort zone and say, you know something, I'm going to take a look at these scripts. I'm going to read them. I'm going to rewrite them if I have to, but either way, I'm going to internalize them and make them my own. I had somebody who started with us a couple of months, and she was going to the script practicing every morning. Okay. Didn't participate, would just listen because she was scared to death. Went to get her nails done. I remember this on a Friday because it wasn't that long ago. Sat there with a nail tech, had her name tag on. The nail tech says, oh, so you're a real estate specialist, real estate agent, whatever. She's like, yeah, start having a conversation. Woman next to her overhears it, starts asking her questions. Another nail tech comes over, starts asking her questions. Pretty soon she had everybody in the entire nail salon around her. She was holding court, having conversations with them, talking to them. She said, she called me up excited afterwards. She's like, I didn't even know that I could say that. I had no idea the words that were coming out of my mouth. Okay, sounds like, what's that, Rush Hour? Where was it Chris, what's his name? He says, do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? Hey, just keep going with it. You know what she got out of that? She got a listing appointment, and she ended up getting a listing, and she's actually working with a buyer that came out of that too. I had a quote that I found this morning, and I wasn't sure if it was appropriate, but it actually seems like it's appropriate. But it's actually from a woman named Brianna Wiest. And it says, when you're growing, you'll also feel like you're dying. That's because part of you is. Nobody talks about this, but you have to grieve the loss of who you were before you can fully step into who you're going to be. Okay? And that's the thing. Just go and read the scripts, okay? Become the person that you want to be and use that to your advantage, right? Scripts, number one tool for having these conversations. The conversations are really what's going to drive your business, okay? That's a big thing. If you have script practicing going on in your market center, just jump in, sit in, and just listen. You're going to absorb so much of that, okay? If you don't, let me know. If anybody wants to link to our 8:30 script practice every day, let me know. More than happy. We've had plenty of people throughout New England that have jumped in, sat in there for a few months, and really kind of picked up a lot. But, let me know about that. All right, I know we're like way off track here, but I think that was helpful. Did that help, or is that beneficial? Is anybody still stuck at this point? Is anybody not really sure what they can do? You can be completely honest.
I appreciate the help.
Yeah, okay. This is judgment-free zone. So if you, any questions, anything that you're going through, let me know, because I went through it too. And everybody is going through this. All right. You are not alone in that mindset.
I'm not a salesperson. I'll never be a salesperson.
Yeah.
I hate salespeople. My whole family are salespeople, and I can't believe I'm actually indirectly involved, but I do love helping people, and I do love real estate and homes and the whole process. So
Absolutely.
I just will work at it as slow as or fast as I feel comfortable.
Stephen, every time that you actually have those conversations, you reach out to people, you should be asking yourself, who can I help today? Who needs my help today? Because honestly, if you're sitting back and you're not reaching out and talking to those people, I would actually say that you're being selfish. You have all this knowledge, you have all this skill set, you've got a license, you are a licensed professional, and you're sitting back being like, well, I just don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to bother them right now, and I don't want them to think I'm selling something, But yet that person is raising their hand saying, hey, I need help. I need to buy a house. I don't know how to do it. I need to sell a house. I don't know how to do it. Right? And who better to help them than you? You want to help people. You just said that. You love real estate. Perfect combination, right?
Well, I love people. I love talking to people, but we'll see how it. I'll check back with you in a couple months.
Absolutely. You know something? Take my number down. Take my number down. And if you ever get in a position where you're still stuck and you're not talking to people, give me a call. All right. I'm usually accessible to the folks in my coaching program 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I tell them to actually put boundaries on their clients so that they're not bothering them. I don't do that. Okay. So do as I say, not as I do. So anybody can reach out to me. If you're stuck, anybody here, call me, text me and say, hey, I can't get over the fact that I need to talk to these people and I don't know what to do. How do I do it? That's fine. I'll walk you through it. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Right. We've got to shift our mindset. We've got to reframe what we're doing. Come at it from the standpoint of being a doctor, okay, where you're asking the question, you're getting to the bottom of the issue. Come at it from the standpoint of being a consultant, right? You have all this knowledge and you're holding back because you think the conversation might be uncomfortable before you even talk to people, right?
Well, I mean, in reality, honestly, it's more than just being comfortable in your own skin and saying what you are there to help them, but we're all just starting out. I'm just starting out. I mean, I can memorize scripts, which I'm not going to do, but
I would say don't memorize them either. So
yeah, but the whole notion of being a consultant or being, I've already been met with two people. I've already been met with, well, you're just starting out. I feel more comfortable with someone that's been doing it for 30 years.
So how do you handle that objection then?
That's again probably part of the objection scripts, but
right.
I know I told them, I am part of a market center with hundreds of years of experience, and they're all behind me. I have pretty good comebacks, but I think a lot of people are stubborn. They really are.
I wouldn't look at it as comebacks. You know what it is? It's just that you have two beliefs that are going on, and which one is stronger? Okay, they have their belief. How can you get them to shift their belief? All right. So I would go to them and say, listen, why is it important for you to, what's important about having somebody with experience? And what would they say?
Just what anybody would mainly say, why you hire somebody that is just coming out of electrical school versus someone that's been a electrician for 40 years. I mean, it's the same reason why you or I would hire somebody that knows their business better.
What makes you think I don't know the business?
I am not in the place where I'm reluctant or ambivalent about whether I can succeed. It's more of being more of a realist than an optimist in a sense, I suppose.
No, I'm saying that you're putting another limiting belief on you. All right. This is one of the things that we actually script practice and we role play, where somebody says, well, I'm new. Why would anybody want to use me? It's like, oh, okay. So, you'd like to go with so-and-so out there. You see their name all over the place. You see her name and all that stuff. Okay, great. So let me ask you something. What's important about using her? Well, your signs are everywhere, and I see her doing stuff. Okay, great. So let me ask you something. Her attention is divided amongst all 75 properties that are out there. So do you think that she's going to give you 100% of her focus? No? Okay, great. Me? Yes, I may be new, but like you just said, I actually have 100 agents that are in my office. I have resources that I can turn to in a moment's notice. If I don't know anything, yeah, I'll tell you that. But you know something? I will get you the answer right away. Right. Not only that, but you're getting 100% of my focus right now. You're getting everything and anything. And of course, this may be one of the first transactions I have, but I'm going to go above and beyond. So at the end of this transaction, you're going to tell everybody what a great job I did, what an great experience you had, and we're going to move on from there. How does that sound?
I'm trying to convince a friend at the moment to bail on her realtor who she does not have a contract with.
Mhm.
It is exactly that. He's got 25 clients. He runs his own boutique realty agency.
Yep.
And she's on the cusp of, she's deciding. She said, just don't pressure me, she said. But I still have a couple things like that to say, and a couple other things I'd like to say to her, but I don't want to bring it up and I don't want to pressure her. So it's a delicate issue. But yeah, I guess I need more coaching, I guess. That's more.
You just need to understand the scripts, you know,
Yeah,
and that's the thing too, is
yeah.
you're gonna be surprised in any situation, anything can come up. Let's say that you say, all right, you know something, I'm not gonna learn FISBO scripts because I'm not calling it FISBO. Outstanding, that's great. Tomorrow you go on a listing appointment and you wrap it up and say like, okay, great. So next move is just to sign with me and then we'll get the sign in the yard. Well, you know, we're actually kind of thinking about selling it on our own. What is that now? The FISBO situation, right?
Right.
Now, how do you handle it? Well, if you don't know the scripts, it's going to be a little bit difficult, right? But listen, that's why they're important, okay? And that's why it makes a world of difference. You know, Linda had pointed it out and everything, and I don't mean to, you know, basically harp this, but honestly, it's your number one tool to having these conversations. And that's going to give you confidence, right? If we knew what we could say in any of those situations, all right, how confident would we feel? All right, our confidence would be through the roof, right? If we knew that we could walk into any situation and have a talk with people and know that we could hold our own, right? That's where the scripts come in. Like if somebody comes to me at a party and it's like, hey, you know, how's the real estate business? I'm like, that depends. Are you a buyer or a seller? Okay, where'd that conversation go right now? Instead of me saying good, not bad, it's on fire, whatever, where'd that conversation go?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I had a friend that sold his house and I mentioned to him that I was on the cusp of getting my license and they had no interest in me. They wanted to sell their own house. And you know what the strange thing is they sold their house in a day.
Yeah.
By themselves.
That's great. That's fantastic. What happened afterwards?
What do you mean by that?
Well, anybody can get an offer on their house right now. How do you know, number one, you're getting the most value? Okay. Because the National Association of Realtors says that, okay, 95% of the people that are out there that go and sell on their own are successful in doing it. All right.
I see. They don't get what yeah. But you know what?
13%
They were quite wealthy actually, and they were happy just putting this person that they groomed. I don't want to say groomed, but the neighborhood wanted, I'm sorry to get off the as FISBO thing, but the neighbor, he wanted a Jewish owner of the house. The neighborhood was
yeah. See, now we're getting into something that's like, you know, we're going down different territory, and that's something completely different if they're talking about all that stuff. So yeah, but listen, I mean, if somebody you know, wants to sell, I mean, you know, anybody could put their house on the market and get an offer. It's everything that happens after that, and that's why we are licensed specialists: inspection, appraisals, negotiations. Who's doing all that? Who's handling it? What happens if it comes up? You're doing a pre-inspection, pre-listing inspection. What's going on? What if we run into an issue? How do we handle that? All that stuff. Anybody can get an offer. That's step one. What about the other 32 steps afterwards? And that's why we're here, right? And we need to bring that to their attention. They're only thinking about the front end. So
I should touch base with those people because I'm curious to know if they had a great experience selling their house for themselves or not. I mean, I should keep in touch with them. But anyway, yeah.
The average real estate transaction takes 58 hours from beginning to end, and that's with a real estate agent. If you're selling it on your own, you really know what you're doing? Is it going to be more than 58 hours? Probably. So,
yeah.
All right. So we have gotten way off track here. So let's do this. Let's take a quick 5-minute break and then we'll get back in. We'll skip through some of these things that are on here, but let's take a quick 5-minute break. It's like 10:08 right now. So 10:13 we'll come back and then we'll jump right into this. So good discussion. Hopefully it was useful for a lot of folks. Okay. Hopefully there were some good takeaways, but let's do that. Quick 5-minute break and then we'll reconvene. Sound good? Is that good?
Thank you very much. Yes.
All right. just for everybody's sake, if you think I was kidding, I'm not kidding. So just take down my number and I'm going to put my email in the chat. So reach out to me at any point if you need help with anything like the mindset, the scripts, all of that. If we want to get a script group going from this Ignite class, we can certainly do that. So any of that stuff, definitely love to help out with everyone and anyone in that.
How do you spell your last name?
Getek. It's like taking the word geek and throwing a T right in the middle of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got to that before somebody else said it. I knew somebody was going to say that. There's always somebody out there that always notices that. So
It's catchy.
you just got to say it fast. You say it fast and it works. So. All right, so I do have officially 10:13, so let's get going in here. So when we talk about lead generation, all right, and we're actually having these conversations, and we're talking to people one way or another, okay, we want to make sure that we're purposeful and intentional with everything that we do. So yes, while we're going out and first of all letting them know that we're real estate specialists, we're also going to be asking them questions, say like, hey, what does your real estate future look like? All right, do you know of anybody who might be looking to buy or sell? If so, pass them along my way, because we're clarifying, we're getting clarity, I should say, on their real estate future and their real estate intention. Okay, that's a big thing, real estate intention. And then also we want to dive into what their timing is. Because the person who sits there and says like, hey, Stephen, thanks for reaching out. I appreciate it. Glad to hear that you're in real estate, but we're not looking to do anything right now. We're going to be in this house for the next 10 years. Okay, great. No worries. I know sometimes things change, life happens and so forth. So if something does, let me know. Or if you know of anybody, just pass them my way. And then a month from now, that person's calling you up saying, hey, Stephen, I just, called me last month and I've been getting your neighborhood nurtures and things like that, or your, emails. And as a matter of fact, it's got a job relocation to Houston. So we need to sell our house. So that time frame of 10 years from now, or the 13th of never or whatever, just changed. Okay. That's why we need to make sure that we're following up with people. We're talking to them. Now you talk about here about message and method. All right, now our message is about basically going out and matching your market, which means that we're going out and we're finding out the people that we know, all right, our target audience, and we're talking to them about the market conditions. All right, we're letting them know, like, if you're looking to buy, yeah, might be a little tough because supply is light. However, interest rates, they're still low. So there's a good opportunity for you to lock in a rate, and then we can actually go out and we'll find something for you, right? Or it's basically going out and making offers. Now, what we say by making offers is that we're going out, we're coming from contribution. So when we're talking to people and somebody's saying, well, I'm thinking about selling. Okay, great. The market's fantastic right now. A lot of good things are happening. Let's get together. Let's talk about the process and see where you're at. All right. So we're having that direct offer to get the response. There's also the indirect method, right? The indirect method is the marketing side of it. We're doing the direct offer, the prospecting. There's the indirect offer, okay? Where we're just basically offering our services. Now, the marketing is going to say, hey, interest rates are low. If you're looking to buy, let me know, all right? The market's on fire. If you're looking to sell, let me know, all right? And that's the same thing with our conversations. Now, the method, the second part of it, all right, we talked about it. There's prospecting and then there's marketing. All right. Prospecting and market. Prospecting is the direct one-to-one. Okay. Marketing is the one-to-many. All right. With prospecting, we're reaching out to people. With marketing, they're reaching out to us. We want to have a combination of the two. We're going to have a phrase that you're going to remember here in a second. All right. But time blocking is critical. Every day we should have time on our calendar to go out and reach out to these people through prospecting and marketing. Maybe it's 2 hours of prospecting and an hour of marketing, or maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is prospecting, Friday is marketing, setting up our marketing plan, whatever it is. Okay. But it's essential that you have both of these together. Okay. Now we take a look at this pyramid here, and marketing is at the very top, and you'll see that it's very, marketing tends to be money intensive, right? We got to spend money to do a lot of the things that are out there. However, there's plenty of methods to market, especially through social media, that we don't have to spend money on. But when we get to the point where we're doing a regular business, and we want to spend money on those things, sure, the old red light, green light game, right? We got money, green light, go spend it. We don't, red light, don't spend it. But marketing is more passive, all right? And it's a long-term play because people are going to see our marketing materials that are out there. Then they're going to see things from us. It's going to take 8 to 10 times from them seeing that before they actually make the connection that we're in real estate. I use this example all the time, but the Super Bowl ads, right? That one Super Bowl ad that played during the game, okay, that they don't air again, was for a particular product or service. We don't remember what that product or service was. We just know that there were fireworks and there was, monkeys on bicycles or whatever it was, okay? But we don't remember the product or service because we saw it that one time. But if you're watching like the NCAA tournament and they play a commercial over and over and over again, right? You're going to have that thing memorized. You're going to know word for word what they say. You're going to know the jingle itself. You're going to know all of that because you've been inundated with that. Same thing with us. We're putting the marketing out there so that they're seeing us come from contribution and they want to work with us. Prospecting, okay, the lower part of the triangle here. More time intensive, right? Because we're spending time reaching out and talking to people. It's proactive. We're the ones that are making that connection, but you can get immediate results. Again, we're talking about having the conversations, finding out real estate intention, finding out timing. If somebody that we called, okay, said, oh, by the way, yeah, we're thinking about selling. So this is great timing. I appreciate you calling me. Boom, there you go. Okay, we just found that out. Would they have called us if they didn't know that? No. Okay. We actually would have power hours in the office before the pandemic, which I'm sure a lot of you did. And we had one woman who was in our group, first day that she's there. Okay, we have, DTD2, the letters are working, whatever it is. But she had people on her phone and she's sitting there and she's just looking at her phone. I said, all right, Ingrid, what's the matter? It's like, well, I don't want to call these people. I'm like, why? She goes, well, they're not going to do anything, but I just don't want to talk to them. I'm like, do you know that for 100% certainty? Are you sure? It's like, no, but I just, they won't. Okay, call them anyway. Called them. She has a 20-minute conversation with them. And I said, well, okay, how did it go? Well, turns out that they wanted to sell 2 of their rental properties and then they wanted to invest in like an apartment building or something like that. So she got 3 transactions out of calling somebody who she didn't want to talk to. Immediate results. Okay. Don't start judging people ahead of time. Just talk to them. Start digging in, finding out about it. Okay. Have those real estate conversations. Be proactive. Okay. Go out there and generate your business. Remember, we're entrepreneurs. We need people to know that we are there to help them out and that we're in the real estate business. Okay. Now, if you guys go to page 4 in your booklet right there, okay, in page 4, you actually have a chart of both prospecting and marketing things that are in there, and then a combination of the 2 in the middle. All right. We're focusing on the left-hand side, the prospecting side of it. So you're going to see that there's a whole bunch of things that we can do here. All right. A whole bunch of things that are in here for prospecting. And all of these involve us going out and having contact with folks. So there's 6 different ways that we can actually have one-to-one conversations with people. Anybody want to guess what those are? And I want to see if anybody knows of any others because I've done this all the time and I'm still trying to come up with a 7th one, but all I know is 6. But anybody want to take a guess on what those contact methods are?
Well, okay, phone,
Okay, so
text.
okay, calling, texting,
Yep.
right? Okay,
Yeah. Emailing,
emailing, yep.
social media,
Social media, and we're talking Facebook Messenger, not something where we just put a post out there. Facebook Messenger,
right.
yep, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Meeting in person,
Face to face, yep, absolutely.
face, and 6. An event.
Thoughts
I don't
face to
know.
face.
Yeah, I was reaching there.
Yeah. Here's the old school method. Okay.
Mailers.
Mailers, handwritten notes.
Oh, there you
notes,
go.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So you may say, well, email we talked about before. We're sending out an email to 10,000 people. No, if you're sending an email directly to somebody, okay, talking about their situation, that's the contact. That's why we say handwritten notes and not necessarily mailers. Okay. All right. So those are the 6 methods. If somebody can figure out a 7th, let me know. For 3 years, I've been trying to figure that out, but come up with 6. All right. But you've got the prospecting methods that are out there. Now, some of these you may be comfortable with, some of them you aren't. But you know something? Take a combination of what you're comfortable with, what you may not be comfortable with, you'll be surprised. Can't you? How many people are like, well, I'm just going to go, I'm going to door knock. I don't want to do it. Can't stand it, but let me do it. And then they come back and they've got, 2 listings. It happens. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing this now. All right. It's good. It works. Right. Any questions on this at all? This part? We're not going to go through like all of these right now. We're going to go cover a couple of them here, but. All right. Okay. So now let's go into some of the methods that are in there. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is, hey, guess what? Door knocking. All right. So if we go to page 5 in the booklets there, it actually has a kind of a deep dive into door knocking. All right. And it talks about the 4 different steps for the door knocking model. All right. Has anybody ever done door knocking in any way, shape, or form? Maybe real estate or maybe something else?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. What was your experience, Ian?
It wasn't great. It was a while ago. We were like selling gutter guards, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable. Yep.
Yeah. Why? Because you were selling something?
Yeah. And
Okay.
people just hate you right off the bat.
Of course they do. Of course they do. So here's what I would say. If you want to get into what door knocking and you call it geographic farming, there's a lot of different things for it. But if you want to get into, finding out how to do this, go in your own neighborhood, right? Start talking to people in your neighborhood. Like, listen, if it's going to be a nice weekend, go out there and start walking the neighborhood and talking to people. Number 1, you start working on your conversation skills. Number 2, okay, the people kind of already know you. Or if they don't, introduce yourself and let them know, like, hey, I live in the neighborhood. I've actually got a vested interest in what occurs in this neighborhood, right? And they talk about here about, the approach, right? So the approach is essentially, knowing your scripts, readying your mindset and the materials, right? Knocking and stepping back to create space. And then act, actively listen, come from contribution, offer value, okay? And that stems from us, the second part there, the act of coming across as a consultant. Is there anything that I can help with you today? I'm a local real estate specialist. I live in the neighborhood. I've got a vested interest making sure that, we maintain the values of the homes in our neighborhood and just seeing if I can be of help for you today. That's all. If not, hey, that's fine. Terrific. If you know of anybody, here's my card. To tell you what, let me send you our app here that'll actually allow you to kind of know more about the neighborhood and know more about what's going on around here. Or if I grab your email, I can actually put you on what we call a neighborhood nurture, and you can find out a little bit more about any real estate activity in the neighborhood. How does that sound? Okay. Again, coming from contribution, offering things, right? When you're selling, you're asking for business. We're not asking for anything, right? We're just basically coming from contribution. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That part? Okay. All right. So then they talk about, the ask. Okay. So the ask on that side for business, for referrals, for permission. Okay. So when we're asking for sales versus asking for that. Okay. We do have that there. And then the advance, add the contacts to your database. So the thing about that is if you actually give them the app and they log into the app, they're automatically going to be uploaded into your database. Okay. So something like that, if it's useful for them, they take it, that's fine. Okay. And there may be some people that say, hey, I don't want to talk to you. That's fine. Some people have good days, some people have bad days. But for the most part, all we're doing is we're just letting you know that we're here to help if need be. Okay. All right. So now agent to agent referrals. Why is this important? When we're with Keller Williams, why is this important? Right. This is actually on page 6 now of the book that you're in. All right. What's important about us as KW agents in the agent to agent referral?
What was your question there?
The agent to agent referrals. Why is that important as Keller Williams agents?
Well, it helps to, build your network. And basically, if you are not in a position where you can help the client, you can refer them to a trusted person and you can also gain a commission from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of the easiest ways to make money in our business. We are the largest brokerage in the world. Okay. I'm not sure if anybody knew that, but KW is the largest brokerage in the world. We have over 185,000 agents. We're in 51 different countries, which means that, listen, if you've got a friend who's moving from here to someplace else, chances are we've got a KW agent that can help them. And all you got to do is find that agent. Okay. You get a referral fee from the transaction once it's closed. Can't be any easier than that. All right. You can also take a look at where people are coming and going. Okay. In the command app, there's a referral applet that's in there that shows you all that. But it's a way for us to essentially expand beyond the universe where we are locally to something more on a macro level. So agent to agent referrals are terrific. And to Roberta's point, you start building your network. When you go to events, whether they be throughout New England or whether you go to family reunion or any of these other events that they have going on, start networking with agents that are out there. How many people have already gotten invites from agents in other parts of the country that you don't even know, and you're wondering what it is that they're asking, right? Are they asking to be a part of your network? Okay, something like that.
I've gotten them, but honestly, I feel like they're just reaching out to a massive pool of people, and they're
Probably.
I always say yes, but
yeah,
my friend who's a veteran realtor says, nah, I just I don't give them the time of day.
Okay. You know, I would think that you're leaving money on the table because honestly, let's say that you get somebody who reaches out to you from Phoenix, Arizona, never met the person, have no idea. All right. But they actually took the time to send me that. Maybe it's a mass email, who knows? Okay. But they actually sent it out there. Right. That shows me that they're committed to their referral business. Right. If I go out and I've got to find somebody and I've got to comb through the folks that are there and I find somebody and I reach out to them and they don't get back to me right away. All right. Then maybe they're not as committed to referrals. But this person I know is actively pursuing referrals, which means that I would feel comfortable if I had friends of mine that said, yeah, we're moving to Phoenix. Okay, great. Let me put you in touch with the person who's out there. Already connected with my network. They're actively doing referrals. So that person would definitely get my business, right? And that's the thing too. Yeah, let me just put in, they're going to reciprocate. They're going to use you, right? So if they got somebody coming from Phoenix to Connecticut, right? Maybe, you know, if that is the case, I'm not sure. Usually it's the reverse, but they come here, then they're going to use me. I'll tell you, I've gone on vacation. I've gone to places in other parts of the country. And if there's a Keller Williams office nearby, I'll walk in, I'll talk to them, you know, make some connection, personal connection like that, because you never know how that's going to pay off. There are people that do their entire business based on referrals. Okay. Yeah. You know, maybe they're reaching out to as many people as possible, but I know that if I sent them a referral, okay, they're going to take great care of them. Right. So that's a way that we can do that. That's something that's going to actually help us to grow our business. If we can diversify the revenue stream that we're getting, other than us just doing the transactions that we're doing, then why not? Okay, it's another way for us to actually go out and to make some money. Okay. So, yeah, Eric, you got a question?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, your odds of making money being one of 5,000 people that they threw a broad net on in their referral network are a lot better than not agreeing and not being on that list. I mean, you know, I'll take a 0.002% chance better than a 0% chance every day.
Yeah. Yep. Why not?
Yeah, I figured the same, Eric. That's why I say yes.
Listen, no other company has this. I was actually at another company prior to this, and this just blows my mind. You know, a lot of these other companies are independent franchises, kind of like what we are, but they're not connected to each other, right? If you're working with an office from another firm in, let's say, Southern Connecticut, okay, you have no idea what another franchise is doing in upstate New York or Northern California or anything. Keller Williams, everybody's connected. We already see the trends before they happen. We're so interlocked with everybody that's here and everything is so unified that you can basically talk to whoever you want. You can see, you know, migration trends. You can see what's going on with the real estate markets in other parts of the world. It's fantastic. It's great to have that information, right? And if we can link ourselves with other people that are out there, like, yeah, you know, there may be a 1 in 1,000 chance that somebody's going to be moving to your area and they're going to contact you, or maybe vice versa. But hey, better than nothing at that point. And one of the ways we can do it, if you go into Command, they actually have a referral app. We're not going to go in there, Tom, just for the sake of time, but you can actually go in there and one of the applets is referral. And in there, you'll see right here that this is how you manage your network. You're going to basically have your network and you're going to have referrals. The network is basically the other agents that you partner with, that you link with that are out there. Okay. And you're going to see their information so that if you have to reach out to them, you can do that. You can actually send them referrals automatically, and you can negotiate what the referral fee is going to be. And then you can also see when you get referrals from somebody else. So it's good to go out there and to network and talk to people. Remember, we just mentioned this before. I think it was Eric or Ian. Somebody said that, hey, we're in the business of real estate conversation. And that's not just with people who aren't real estate specialists, but also people who are, right? The more we can do, the better we're going to be, right? Any questions so far on this? Kind of breezing through some of the stuff here, so I apologize. But all right, open houses. Okay, open houses. How many people here have done an open house? Anybody? Okay, Linda
I've
has.
helped on an open house.
Okay,
Me
terrific.
too. I'm doing one Sunday
Nice.
by myself.
That's
excited.
great. By yourself. Fantastic. You know, honestly, it's great to shadow an open house. You only have to do it once, and then you're more than, you know, you're more than capable of going out and handling it on your own, right? And open houses are phenomenal because think of it this way. You got people that are coming to you. You got ready, willing, and able buyers and sellers that have already said in one way, shape, or form that they're looking to do something at some point soon. I tell you, I had an open house and, you know, unfortunately didn't have anybody there. No big deal, but had everything prepared and did get one person that came in right at the end. They said, yeah, you know, my sister and I are cleaning out my uncle's house down the road and saw your open house. I wanted to come by. Can you come list our house? Is that worth it? Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I ask you a couple questions though?
No, I'm sorry. We got to keep going. No, I'm just kidding. Of course you can. Yeah, absolutely. So,
I apologize. I'll try to speak up, but
no, don't worry about it.
my I'm not sure exactly what I can and can't do because it's not my listing.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how much marketing I should do. She said it's for a friend of hers.
Mhm.
She hasn't done much marketing for it, but I don't know if I'm stepping on toes or not. I'm going to ask my team leader later on today when we're done with the call. But I'm wondering, would the person who has the listing, would the agent who has the listing appreciate me marketing it? Or would it be more like, because she said to me, she goes, I made up flyers. She said, you're welcome to make flyers with your information on it too. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, yes.
Mhm.
But so I'm assuming it would be okay to market it on Facebook and, you know, send out a blast. But
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
I would say that you want to maximize the people that come to this open house. So any marketing that you can do, okay, is should be welcome. But here's the thing: for a lot of us here, we probably don't have our own listing yet. So we're going to actually ask another agent, or maybe, you know, put out there that we'd like to host an open house. Make sure that you talk to them about the arrangement that you have. Number one, find out what you can do for marketing for that property. Number two, just see what happens with any unrepresented people that come in. How can we capture that, and who's going to take that? Hopefully you will. If you're doing that, that's kind of your form of compensation for doing the open house, right?
I think so.
And then the third thing is like, okay, you know, can I actually go out and talk to the neighborhood? All right, because that's part of what we do. And they talk model here: prepare, prospect, and pursue. So we're going to go over some of those things right there. But yeah, I would say that as long as you talk to them and you say like, look, this is what I want to do, they should be fine with it. The more exposure you can get to bring in as many people as possible, that's exactly what you want. You want to bring in as many buyers and sellers as possible, people who are going to see that property. All right. So I would say, yeah, absolutely go for it, you know?
So you said market, can I talk to the neighborhood? And I missed one in the middle.
And what happens with anybody who's unrepresented?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Darren, very quickly, when you do market someone else's listing, you have to put her as a listing agent, right? If you're putting it on social media.
It all depends. Check with your broker in the area that you're in, because we're dealing with a lot of states here. So I don't know what the official rules are, and I'm not going to, get into that. So I would say if anybody's curious about that, talk to their broker just to make sure. I know with us, we can put it out there and we can say that, for us, we can put the property out there and just say if anybody's interested in the open house, click here. They can pre-register, something like that, but it all depends. Every state is different. I don't want to talk for everybody out there. So good question though. So for open houses, it's a great way for us, not just to get buyers, but to get sellers. I mean, really, everyone and anyone, you want to basically maximize the exposure. All right. And for a lot of us, this is the way that the formula goes, is to prepare, prospect, and pursue. There is a lot of preparation that should go into an open house. Has anybody here ever heard of 7th level open houses here at KW? Anybody familiar with that at all? Okay. 7th level, oh, we had somebody lose us. Okay. Oh, okay. But 7th level open house, and I'm not sure if they use that term anymore, but essentially this is us going above and beyond for open houses. So what that entails, we're going to go over this in a little bit here, but it means starting the Monday and Tuesday beforehand, okay, with marketing the property, all right, getting as much information from our MLS or from the listing agent as possible about it, okay. If we can, take a pre-tour of the house in the neighborhood and go around there. Talk to the folks that are in the neighborhood, right? Door knocking around there, you know, do the old, what do they call it, 5, 10, 5, where you go 5 houses to the right, 10 houses across the street, and then 5 houses to the left, however that works. Have conversations with the neighbors and let them know, like, hey, listen, we're going to be having an open house. I just want to make you aware in case you see increased traffic. It's going to be Sunday, 11 to 1. Oh, by the way, we're going to be open half hour earlier. So neighbors such as yourself, if you want to come by and see the house, you're more than welcome to. If you know of anybody who's looking to move to the neighborhood, bring them along too. All right. How many other agents are doing that for their open houses? Probably no one. And then we're going to continue with basically the social media blast. All right. Friday into Saturday, even Sunday when we're having it. Okay. We're going to put signs out. We're going to put balloons out, whatever it is that we want to do. We're going to have a sign-in sheet that basically says, do you have a signed agreement with an agent? And if so, who is that? So that way we can weed out the people who definitely are signed versus people who think they're signed. Okay. We're going to maximize the house itself, turn on all the lights, open all the doors. Okay. Prepare, make sure everything is great and perfect. We're going to follow up with people. We're going to talk about that in a second. But Eric, you got a question there?
I'm just going to add, I heard some verbiage when people were door knocking that always kind of resonated with me. They said they go around in the neighborhood and talk to the people and basically find a way. I mean, you can word it yourself, but the main gist of it is, you tell the neighbors, hey, how often do you have the chance to choose who you live near? Now is it. Who do you know that should, who do you know that I should reach out to, or or whatever. And so you can even turn it into a lead gen activity by doing that, and you're looking like you're doing them a favor by offering.
Right. And that's a great point. Absolutely. Let that, they can think that they're in control. It's like, yeah, who'd you like to actually live in your neighborhood? Who'd you like to select to be in your neighborhood? That's good. That's really good. I've heard that before too. That's excellent. That's a great one. That's a terrific one. So, yep, absolutely. Hey, it says here, Wayne saying neighbors come to the broker open house, at least in the area. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't have too many broker open houses where we are. It just, they end up being not a waste of time, but nobody really comes to that. They just come there for the food and the drinks, and that's it. But yeah, if they work in your area, that's something you definitely want to capitalize on. All right. So when we're preparing the open house, this isn't just showing up 5 minutes beforehand and leaving 5 minutes afterwards. There's a lot of stuff that goes in that, because we want to make sure that we're making this the best open house possible. Because number one, we want to have as many people there as possible, right? Because Wayne even said he got 4 buyers from an open house. Fantastic, right? We also want to show the client, even if it's not our client, that we go above and beyond. We're showing the neighbors that we do everything we can to market their home. And now when it comes time for them to list, who do you think they're going to use, right? We want to make this as big and bold as possible. So we prepare all the way up to it. We make sure that when we're there, we're acting professional. We have all the information. We have comps. We have, we can even partner with other agents in the area that have even if they're not with Keller Williams, partner with them, make it a tour, whatever you want to do. And then afterwards, make sure that we're following up with everybody that's there. So we're following up the listing agent to let them know, okay, all the people that came in, what they said, what they liked, didn't like, all that stuff. Anybody who's not represented, we're following up with them and we're saying, hey, listen, maybe that house wasn't for you, but why don't we get together and we can find out a little bit more about what your needs are and what you are looking for. Okay? Take the opportunity to just really use these as much as possible and do one every weekend, 2 a weekend, whatever you can do. I mean, honestly, like I said, you've got ready, willing, and able people that are coming to you. Great opportunity to grow your business. Now, if you turn to page 7 in the booklet there, it says the chart about what to do before, during, after. All right. And you can see right here that they talk about basically who you should be reaching out to before, during, after. Okay. All right, your database, putting postings out there on social media. All right, talking to the neighbors, anybody around there. Okay, actions you need to take: inviting them to the open house, asking for referrals. All right, getting appointments, adding to the database, all of that. Okay, these are the actions you want to take. And there's different ways to do it. All the stuff that we talked about for prospecting, it's mentioning right here: calling, emailing, texting, social media, door knocking, face to face, right? All of that. So these are the actions that we can take in order for us to really make sure that we're getting the most out of the open house. All right. I remember somebody telling me before, it wasn't that long ago, that they actually showed up at an open house and the agent was sitting outside on the porch in a chair reading a book. Didn't acknowledge her or her two clients as they walked in the door, and they said, "Hey, is it okay to go in?" She's like, "Yeah, whatever." Walked in, walked through the house, left, didn't acknowledge them when they were leaving. That is piss poor. That is the wrong thing to do, right? Okay. You're not going to see much success from that. So use that as kind of a thing not to do and focus on what you can do here. All right. And also too, if we turn to page 8, this actually gives you an outline here, okay, of what you can do during that time frame. All right. We talk about prepare. So prepare, all right. We're putting everything together. We're coming up with what the activities are going to do, and you can follow the format that they have here, or you can come up with what works for you, maybe in your area. All right. So preparing, putting everything together, making sure that we have everything in place, all the information we need, any questions that could come up, all of that. All right. And then we talk about, yeah, let's go through posting online, installing the mobile app. All right. All of it is posting online and actually reaching out, talking to people, putting signs in the yard. Okay. And on page 9, you can actually plan out what your activities are going to be like. We won't do that now, but if you want to keep this as a reference, I'd say definitely follow the template that they have there. There's so many good activities that you can use for maximizing the open house, right? And then page 10, all right? Page 10 is, okay, this is our script. This is going to help us for having conversations with people who are there, all right? So for those of you that have actually worked in open houses, right? What are some questions that you've asked, or what are some ways, some things that you've done to help get people to chat with you and to talk with you during the open house so you can find out what their real estate intention is?
Ask if there's anything in particular they're looking for, or if they noticed something about the house listing that brought them out physically to take a look in person.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that Ben Kinney, he's a big mega agent with a big team out in I think it's Oregon, but he says, like, when people come in, you ask them, say, like, listen, people who come to an open house are typically a buyer or a seller. So which one are you? Word it that way. Come straight to the point, right? What else? What other things what other questions have you asked? Or what, if you haven't done it, what questions that you think that you can ask that are going to offer some value there and get you some information?
You try to find their motivation.
Sure. What's a question that
Or
we could
why
ask
they
to find their
looking?
motivation?
First time looking.
What brings you in here today?
Right. Yep. So there's a difference between those two questions. So you say first time looking, the answer is yes or no. But the other question, what brings you out here? What's the difference between those two types of questions?
Open-ended versus closed.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. If you ask the yes, no questions, that's great to start the conversation, but dig in a little bit deeper. Think
Engaging
in your
conversation.
head. Yep. If you could ask why, like a little kid, if you got a 3-year-old and it's like, well, why? Okay. Eventually you're going to dig into what it is that the motivation is, or the reason why they're there. Okay. Just think about that. Now, don't ask them why. Okay. We don't want to do that, but phrase it in such a way. So like, so what brings you out here today? It's like, well, we're looking to downsize. Okay, great. So, what do you like about this house? What is it about this neighborhood? What are some things that you are looking for in the house that you're looking to downsize to? How about the house that you have to sell? Tell me a little bit about that. Biggest question is, do you have a signed agreement with another agent? First of all, obviously, and hopefully they told you that, but then break into it that way. Get a little more from them. Be the doctor. Find out what's going on. Diagnose the problem. Let them know that you're there to help them, right? A solution provider. Okay?
We even put that in the sign-in sheet. Do you have an agent?
Well, that's why I
What's the
phrase it
name?
differently. So you have a signed agreement with an agent. Everybody
Right.
can say like, are you working with an agent? Do you have an agent? Yes. They're going to say that. It's like walking into a furniture store. Can I help you? No, just looking. Automatic response, right? We phrase it where, hey, do you have a signed agreement with an agent? And then I put next to it, say, if yes, then who? Now it puts them on the spot. Oh, you do have a signed agreement. Oh, who's your agent? Oh, I can't remember. Ooh, so I guess they made a really good impression on you if you can't remember their name, huh? Okay, now I know who are the people I'm just going to generally follow up with if they have an agent, or maybe reach out to their agent, let them know they were here, versus the other folks that I can actually really understand help. If they say they don't have a signed agreement, okay, great. Then, you have the opportunity to get together. Maybe we can chat a little bit more about your needs. Make sense?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Darren, if
Yeah.
it's a very busy open house, because it happens, it gets
Mhm.
busy. Sometimes you lose someone in the shuffle. Maybe they didn't sign in. You try to encourage everyone to sign in. So everyone that signed in sometimes will not check off if they are, if they're not. They're just quick to just put their name and phone number or whatever. We can still contact them and just even ask that question, right? If they are
Yeah.
signed with an agent,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
their numbers are there for us to contact them and maybe thank them for coming to your open house and then
Yeah.
ask them.
Mhm. And that's part of the follow-up, and that's part of what we do. And we get more information. If we didn't have the opportunity then to talk to them, then yeah, absolutely follow up with them, get the clarification. Until I know for sure one way or another, I'm going to continue to reach out to them, because if they didn't check that box off and I didn't catch it, then it's my responsibility to understand. I'm not just going to assume that they're signed with somebody. I'm going to go out there and it's my job again to ask the questions, right? To diagnose the issue and see what's there, see if there's a way that I can help them. That's all. All I'm doing is just following up on the question, saying, hey, I see that you didn't check off if you're working with an agent. And honestly, I don't want to step on any toes. We have a professional courtesy, but I just want to make sure that you don't have a signed agreement with an agent. Is that the case? That's all. And if so, say like, okay, terrific. Well, if you want to reach out to them, let them know you came by the open house. I'd be happy to chat with them too. But good luck in your search. Hope everything goes well. Right. And sometimes too, you make an impression like that. I've had people that have said, something, my agent sucks. They didn't even want to go with me to the open house. But yet you're following up with me and you're just saying thank you for coming to the open house. That made a world of difference.
Yeah, that's one thing with my clients. I like to go to the open houses with them regardless, because you have them there.
Mhm.
You walking the open house with them, you can actually persuade them to actually, not persuade, let's a different way of saying it. But when you're there,
Mhm.
you're actually selling the home to them. If this is
Oh,
the home
yeah.
that they look, you're just, wow, instead of them just walking around and looking at the house themselves,
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference.
Right. Right.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
The woman that just spoke, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Linda? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Linda. So like I said, I was at the my first open house 2 weeks ago, and I actually got someone who's a potential lead. She is looking at homes, and I've been kind of nurturing her. But there was an open house, exactly the same model, a block away the following week, and I said to her, "Would it be helpful if I came with you?" And she said no. And then I found out yesterday, she told me that she actually wanted to put in an offer with the listing agent, and I even sent her an email previously that she probably didn't open, like going with the listing agent versus, getting your own representation. I
Mhm.
guess she didn't read that. I don't know what else to say to her what would I say next time in order, how did you get your client to have you go to
I
the
don't
open
give
house?
them an option. I
Oh,
don't.
I see. What do you
I
say?
don't. I'm like, hey, how are you, Brianna? I'll be there. What time are you going to be there? I'll be right there. No problem.
Okay.
Sometimes I
Got
even
it.
brought her, I brought them coffee. Hey, what kind of coffee do you guys want? Or, oh, I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. Okay, I'll be there. They wait for me. So I don't ask. I just tell them I'm
Okay.
going to be there. Yeah, I mean,
Got you.
that's
Perfect.
how I do it.
There you go. There you
Thank
go.
you.
And I would even say too that, with that other person, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier with Stephen, where you send him an email that has an article about, going with a listing agent versus having your own agent. But what about picking up the phone and calling them up? Say like, listen, I was just thinking about our discussion and you had mentioned that you were going with a listing agent. You have a couple of minutes? Let me just tell you, in looking out for your interests, I just want to tell you why that might not be the best idea.
Yeah, she has the reason why I didn't do that, and I wanted to, because she works at night, she works in custom, blah, blah. She gave me this whole story how she works weird hours and they change, so she didn't want to give me a schedule. She's very evasive, and I'm still kind of poking at her, so I'm hoping that I get it because she has an 800,000 property in a city close by. So yeah, I normally I would definitely pick up the phone and be like, hey, blah. So
Well,
next time I'll do that anyway.
yeah, I would tell her too. It's like, oh, you work crazy hours. Oh, God, so do I. So we have something in common. How about that? I'm a real estate specialist. So I'm working
Yeah, I was
all
out
hours
till
of the
9
evening,
last
right?
night. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the other thing is too, is that uh, there's the rapport and the trust factor that's in there, right? You just met her, so it's taking time to build that. She's got to understand that you're there for her benefit to help her out. So you see where that conversation comes in with people that we don't know, how it takes more time to develop that relationship as opposed to people you know. They already know you. Half the battle is won. Now it's easy to get comfortable with the fact that like, oh, you're a licensed real estate specialist. I'm like, yeah. And since I'm your friend, I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can to make sure that everything goes well, right?
Right.
You're not going to get that with somebody else. But now if it's a complete stranger, it's like, oh, okay, so I have to kind of get to know you before I really trust you with what's going on. Do you think your friend, if they knew that you were a real estate specialist, would go and put an offer in with a listing agent, or would they use you?
Right.
So that's why it's important. You start with the people that you know. I know it may not be comfortable for some folks, but it's a way for you to really, it's a low hanging fruit. It really is.
Okay.
But good. Lynn, thanks for helping with that. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. So does everybody know how to add a contact into command and how to put tags on them and things like that? I think you probably went over that at one point, one of the earlier sessions. Is that right?
Yeah.
Everybody good with that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Because I don't want to rehash that if we've already done that. So we got yes, more yeses. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Good. So let's talk a little bit about, in the open house. Okay. Some things that we can do to really enhance the value. All right. Now, they talk about here about hosting a speaker. Okay, one of the things, and you can actually, I think this is actually, no, this isn't in your book, not yet. Okay, but just some ideas on how you can enhance the value. One of the things that lenders like to do is to go to open houses with you, because again, they're also looking to see if there's anybody that they can help. So if you have a lender that's partnered with your office, or somebody that you know, or somebody that another agent that you know knows, ask them to host an open house with you. The best thing in the world you can do is to have a second person with you just for safety purposes. All right, another set of eyes. But also the lender's going to go and put flyers together, and they're going to probably contribute maybe some beverages or maybe some snacks or something like that as well. So they're going to not only give you some of the marketing material that's there, that is a combination of both you and them on the same flyer, talking about your level of expertise and their ability to help provide the best mortgage. It just makes life so much easier for it. So try to do that as often as you can, and they'll go out of their way to help you out with that. They're really good to have there. But you can also bring in an inspector. You can also bring in an attorney if you know that. But make sure the people that you know or that other people know that can again refer you. Don't just blindly pick somebody, because if you're basically partnering with that person and you're showing that you're partnered with them, and then somebody uses their services and doesn't communicate with them and they end up being a bad attorney or a bad lender, then that's going to reflect on you. All right. So if you know of like anybody in your office who's used a lender and they've had a good experience, or an attorney or somebody they would recommend from their personal, contacts, take advantage of that. Right. Definitely take advantage of that. Offering a gift, interactive game. I've seen some people that have done scavenger hunts, all right, where they get a sheet of paper and they say, hey, listen, just to make it a little bit more interesting so that you can really understand the intricacies of the home, here's a scavenger hunt. So go around and see if you can find the items that are in there. I know that in Command, in Design, where we have multiple templates that are out there, they do have under open houses, they actually have a flyer where you can customize it, but it talks about the 5 things you like, the 5 things you didn't like, so that they can actually hand it to you at the end, and you can give that feedback back to the seller or the listing agent if it's not you, all that stuff. So make it something where people can leave there saying like, wow, that was different. I never had that before. We've been to 8 open houses in this weekend, and that was the first time that somebody actually talked to us and somebody actually gave us something that was actually useful, for God's sake, right? Get the house in showing shape. This is key. Make sure that you show up early and let the homeowner know that you're going to show up a half hour early. Turn on the lights, open the doors that we talked about, but make sure that the house flows. All right. Don't make sure that all the pizza boxes laying on the floor are picked up. All right. Make sure nobody's tripping over that. All right. You'll be surprised. Sometimes you go in there and be like, whoa, this is not showing shape, not open house ready. Okay. Do what you can to make sure that it's a better experience. Right. Now you talk about going live. This is common. This is good. All right. Don't sit here and worry about your video skills, and don't sit there and say like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm getting an Academy Award for what I'm putting together on this video. It doesn't matter. Go live in Facebook and say, hey, I'm here at 123 Main Street, which seems to be the address that everybody has. And I'm showing this beautiful colonial. Come by. I'm not even going to show you the inside, although it has a lot of good features, or maybe I will show you the inside. I don't know. Walk through the house, whatever you're going to do. Make it a quick, like 2-3 minute video, post it out there, let everybody know that, hey, this is what's going on. It just enhances it. Video is the way to go now. So going live is actually going to bring attention to it. When people say like, hey, so-and-so's live now, let me just see what's going on. Boom, you got that video right there. That's a great way to basically make it better.
Do you need the owner's permission to do that?
If you're going inside the house, probably. If you're staying outside the house, no.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't make a video if people are walking around the house. I wouldn't make a video at that point either, because you probably have to get releases or something like that. I would think you might want to, do that. I would just say that if you're going to be inside the house, just let them know you're going to do that and see if they're okay with it. Chances are most of the photos of the inside the house, they're out there in MLS that get transferred to Zillow and all those other things. So, but I just want to make sure that I'm covering my bases. So I would ask the homeowner. And why not, right? It shows that you respect them and their home. All right, what do we have for questions? Anybody have any questions at this point? Up to this, with open houses or door knocking or anything we talked about, even prospecting?
You mentioned the lender bringing food or drink. I mean, what are your thoughts on alcohol? That Rhonda was mentioning yesterday that she hosted an open house for the neighbors, private open house for the neighbors, like an hour before, with champagne and mimosas and Bloody Marys. And I was like, I thought to myself, really? I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts about food and alcohol and all that?
Well, years ago, indirectly, part of the insurance industry. So the first thing I think of is risk. Okay. And if people are drinking, and even if they're neighbors, it's still, to me, that, I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I mean, Rhonda, I know her, she's really smart and she's got a great business. If that works for she is, then that's fine. And it's a private party, which is another thing for the neighbors. So maybe there's something to that. Me personally, I wouldn't do that because I just think you run a risk right there too, of something happening. Because now, let's say somebody's drinking too much and they walk down the front steps and they get hurt. Okay. That becomes a problem for the homeowner, not necessarily you. Well, in addition to you too, but so that's just what I think of. That's the first thing I go to. I personally wouldn't do that, but if it's working for her, I think that's one of those things that if it's not your listing, definitely check with the listing agent and the homeowner. If it is your listing, check with the homeowner. And I would say also double check with your broker, because ultimately they're the ones that are at risk for that. Good question though. Why not talk to her about that? Get more detail on it.
Now I'm going to get her in trouble.
No, please. Are you kidding me? No, we're not getting her in trouble. It's just interesting. I've never really heard that before, but I have to get more details from her.
I don't know if she was giving a precise example or she was just talking ethereally, but yeah.
No,
I mean,
I know Rhonda.
I remember
I know Rhonda.
I remember in old days, I mean, I'm talking 30 something years ago. I mean, open houses used to be a party, really. I mean, it used to be more festive, and things have changed so much, especially now with with COVID. I mean, we shouldn't say post-COVID, but with COVID, I mean, putting baked goods on the table is, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely changed because of the pandemic, but there's still things that you can do, and there's still things that you might want to have, like the gentleman who would teach our Yeah,
Like
waters
I
and
did
things
an
like
open
that.
house, I did
Mhm.
like bottled waters. I
Yeah.
bought little tiny, through Amazon, little tiny, um, uh, sanitizers and stuff. And, you can do things like that.
Yeah.
It's
You can
just
be
something
creative.
to give out and start your conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just see, I mean, if it's a really nice home, you're probably not going to have like any candy bars in there, right? But water is good. But just use your judgment when it comes to that. Check with the listing agent again, check with the homeowner, things like that. We had somebody who used to teach our open house class before the pandemic in person, and he would go through the full scale. He would bring in all the stuff that he would typically have, and he would have water, he'd have some stuff for parents, and he'd also have candy on the side. And the candy on the side was for the kids that didn't want to be dragged around to the open houses and they were at their wits' end. And so he would basically look at the parents saying, like, would this help? And then with the parents' permission, give it to the kids, something like that. But
As we're talking about this, I just got an email from my office saying that they don't recommend to serve alcohol at an open house, but if they do, you should hire a company that serves the alcohol because they have insurance.
there you go. Bingo. So
That's funny. It just came now.
that's pretty good. Talk about timing, huh? What office are you in? You don't mind me asking?
Boston Northwest.
Okay. All right. Just curious. So good. All right, it's 11:03. So why don't we take a quick 5-minute break and then we'll jump back into, we're going to talk about social media on in the next one here too. So why don't we do that and then we can reconvene at 11:08. Okay, sound good with everybody? Right?
Great, thanks.
All right, perfect. All right, here we are back again. Everybody good so far? All right. Okay, so now we're going to talk about another prospecting method, which is social media. Okay, and if you turn to page 11 in your booklets right here, they actually talk about each one of these: select, seek, share, and service for your social media um, prospecting strategy. Now, the statement that I was supposed to mention earlier that you want to remember is when it comes to lead generation, you want to be prospecting focused or prospecting based and marketing enhanced. All right. And what that means is your primary method of lead generation obviously is prospecting, but you're actually wrapping that with marketing as well. So when you learn the marketing side of it, you're going to incorporate that into prospecting. So you're doing both of them, where prospecting is the main lead generation and marketing is around that. Because the marketing really is not going to take you a lot of time to post things on social media or to put an email thing together, any of that stuff that's going to support you on your prospecting. All of that can be done through command, through smart plans and designs and campaigns. You can schedule your social media posts. All of that can be done through there. So make sure you maximize that. You can even take like an afternoon and do all your marketing for the next month in there between the smart plans and the campaigns and designs, all of that stuff. All right. So most of your time should be spent on the prospecting side. Okay. All right. So just when you hear prospecting based and marketing enhanced, like they say at the top here, that's something that you want to ingrain in your memory. And you always want to be focused on that. So when it comes to prospecting with social media, all right, is anybody out there right now prospecting using any of their social media platforms?
I don't think I'm prospecting, but I do have business pages and I do post
Okay.
stuff that I get from Brooks classes. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, good. So why is social media important then? Somebody using Facebook, LinkedIn. Okay. Why is social media
Everybody's
important?
there.
Yeah, everybody's there, right? Everybody's there. Right? It's a great way to connect with as many people as possible, right? So somebody's
Yeah.
getting a call. I guess somebody's getting a lead, right? Somebody's got a
Yeah, actually, it was somebody calling me. But yeah, I got the 3 buyers that I got them just because I announced that I on Facebook that I was now a realtor.
Excellent. Roberta, way to go. Way to go. Excellent. I guess I owe you money too, apparently, huh? So that's excellent. Good news on that one. So, but no, hey, social media, great way to connect, right? Yes, we can post things out there as part of marketing where we're putting it out there so that everybody can see it. And one thing you have to remember too, that it's not, you can never inundate everybody and you can never overwhelm people with what you're posting unless you're doing it every single minute of the day. But if you're posting once, twice a day, all right, people see things through the feeds that they have. They're not going to catch everything that you actually post out there. So you can always repeat things. You can go through a schedule where 2 weeks in a row, you're posting different things in each day and then start the cycle again. And people are going to see it at different times. You utilize it as much as possible. Follow the method that they have here. So if you actually turn to page 11 in the books that you have, they talk about each one of these different parts. All right. So in selecting, all right, you want to actually select a platform that's going to work for you. What I always like to tell agents is find out where your ideal client is. Okay. If you have first-time home buyers, or you want to be the person who is, the number one person in your town or something like that. Okay. Find out where those people are, what platform they're in. Somebody mentioned Facebook, another person mentioned LinkedIn. Okay. See which one of those platforms is going to give you the best, and then hone in on the groups that you want to really work with. Who's your ideal client? And if you don't know, not a big deal. Go out there, and as you do business, you're going to find out who you want to work with. All right. But you want to go out there and you want to select the platform that's going to be best for you to use. All right. Because ideally, you're going out there and you're putting out your personal brand. And you're basically letting people know that, hey, I am a licensed real estate specialist. If you have any needs, you come and see me. Right. And they're going to get to know you now as the real estate specialist. Again, we talked about it 8 to 10 times before they actually get the message that you are their real estate contact, the person that's going to help them with their problem, right? Their real estate problem. So it's all about branding and having a presence. Okay. And coming up with a schedule. Like I said, posting 1 to 2 times a day is really not a bad thing. All right. Now, the other thing is too, is that seeking prospects. We just talked about that. Determine who you're going to target, location, the audience interest, right? If I want to be basically the king of the town that I live in, okay, then I'm going to actually get on the Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. I'm going to find out if there's any groups, community groups that are in there. And I'm going to actually share information. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out there and like some of the community posts that are out there. Maybe reach out to folks, let people know that if they have any questions that I can certainly help them, maybe comment on a few things. But I'm going to go to where the people are. They talk about fishing where the fish are, right? I'm not going to sit there and compete in the ocean for, whales and sharks and things like that if my clientele happen to be trout or something like that, or some of the smaller fish, freshwater fish. I'm going to go where they are, and then that's where I'm going to fish, right? Same thing with our clients. We want to go where they are. And again, if we don't know, it doesn't matter. Then pick a platform and run with it. Start putting things out there, add value. People are now going to see you and they're going to make the connection. They're going to say, hey, that bald-headed guy with the glasses that I see all the time, he's in real estate. Okay. I feel comfortable using that guy. That's what I want. That's who I want to use because we're looking to sell. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Darren, in social media, you also have your town's community forum, and you
Yep.
have to get approved to be on there. But
Yep.
there's a specific day, like for Meriden, it's on Wednesdays. You get to post your business there on Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, I'll post something on there. And I actually have friends that follow me that actually post for me.
Yep. Absolutely. That's good. Well, that's good. And that's the thing too, is if you join groups that are out there, somebody mentioned this to me a couple of days ago and it made perfect sense. A lot of times they say, well, there's no self-promotion and there's no this and there's no that about you and your business. Okay, great. I would reach out to the people who monitor that group if that's the people that I want to work with. And I would say, listen, do you mind if I actually do some contributions or contribute to some of the stuff that's out there? I'm not going to promote my business, but can I actually answer some questions, or can I go out there and maybe offer some advice to some folks? Would that be okay? Now what you're doing is you're gaining a presence in that group, in the discussion, and people are going to see you and they're going to get curious and they're going to say, hey, this person right here just keeps coming up with all these answers, keeps talking about this stuff. Let me see what they're like. Boom, they click on it. It takes to your page. They see you as a real estate specialist. Like, okay, great. Now they connect with you. Now they're friends. Now they're seeing things directly from you outside of that group. So that's a way for you to actually connect with people. And when they do that and they friend them, send them a direct message, right? Because this is prospecting. Send them a direct message. Say, hey, I noticed that you're liking some of my stuff in the group and now you wanted to connect. So, what's happening? What's going on? What does your real estate future look like? Or, what interested you about connecting with me? Now we're having a conversation. Now we're talking about their real estate future, right?
Now, Darren, let me know if it's wrong, but someone that's been in the business for quite some time, when I was still am a new agent, she was like, you know what, I understand maybe you don't have potential buyers right now, but schedule your own showings and just go out there and, show them that you're active, even if you're not having a buyer, just to post it up there and show people that you're out there showing homes, even though you're scheduling the showing for yourself, but at least you're putting up these videos on social media like you're actually active.
Right. And something that's good too. And you just got to make sure that obviously if you're going to be showing that you're at the properties, maybe take a picture from the outside or video from the outside before you go in there. And try to do it with properties maybe that are unoccupied so that you're not asking people to leave their house so you can go in and take a video of it or something like that and then post it out there. So you just have to be careful from that standpoint, but that's a good idea. I had a woman that worked with me a couple of years ago using my coaching program, and she was brand new. She started in August, and she's actually a part-time agent. And one of the first things she did was she's like, something, I really like doing video. So I want to start making some videos. So she would call up listing agents in our office and say, hey, listen, can I do a video tour of your property at, 123 Main Street, wherever it is? And they say, yeah, absolutely. So one of her son's friends was a videographer. So they would go in the house and kind of like MTV Crib style, they would walk through the house and she would actually highlight different things, even though it wasn't her listing, but she had permission, and they'd show all the stuff and then she would post it online. So she did one house a week and caught the attention of a local radio station. And they're like, wow, this is good stuff. So they asked her, said, hey, can you come in twice a week for a half-hour segment each and just talk about real estate? Absolutely. How many transactions did she do up to that point? 0. Been with us a couple of months, was actually cultivating her business. They didn't know that, probably didn't care. So just before COVID, all right, so she was going through this. She was actually spending twice a week on this radio show, got noticed because of her videos, answering questions for people. All right. Now, she is actually a regular capper at this point because she has developed so much business. Even though it was only a few months before the pandemic hit and stopped, she generated so much business from doing that that it's just recurring referrals and things like that that come off of that. Right, just by her putting herself out there on social media. All right, regular capper now. One of the best success stories we have, and still working part-time, by the way, because she likes her day job. So whatever you can do to get out there and offer value, that's what you want, right?
What radio program was she on?
What's that?
What radio program was she on?
It was somewhere in Connecticut here. I don't remember the exact station because a couple of things had changed. But it was some sort of one of the local radio stations here. I honestly don't know, to be honest with you. So I just really, I should ask her that. I think I would know that, but unfortunately I don't. So.
And they had her on as a real estate expert. Why would they? I'm confused. I mean, why would they hire someone on a radio show that? And she must have. I don't know.
Stephen, you know how many people that talked to her, like it was a call-in show. Do you know how many people that talked to her called in and asked her questions? Do you know how many people asked her how long she'd been doing the business?
You're going to say zero, but.
Yeah, I'm going to say zero. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Why is that important? If somebody asked me, he's like, well, how long have you been doing this? Well, I'm sorry. What's important about that?
Well, it's important to me. I mean, and honestly, I think the validity of somebody's opinion definitely weighs, how many books did you write? How many years you've been in the business? I mean, these things matter. I'm just curious to know why she'd be.
To be honest with you, Darren, I have not had one client ask me how long I've been in the business at all. At all. I mean, you speak to them confident, make sure that you're answering their questions, and don't feel afraid that if you do not know the answer, just let them know you'll get the answer for them. It happens all the time, and I'll either bug Darren or bug someone else. But at the end of the day, I have yet had someone ask me, how long have you been a real estate agent? Because if you're speaking to them and you're confident at what you're doing, they really don't care, to be honest with you. And sometimes they'll tell me, oh my God, you've been doing this for such a long time. And I just be like, yeah, I'm here trying to do the best I can. Or if not, I use the whole fact of I have a team that backs me up, or my team has been in the business for quite some time. And I just don't use myself as I'm a new agent. I would love to help you. No, I would never introduce myself like that.
Yeah. What we're doing is we're setting up roadblocks before they come up. We're basically anticipating what they're going to ask before they even come up. All right. But honestly, really, it doesn't matter. Right. I would take somebody who has been with us for a month. I'd put them head to head with somebody who's been with us for 10 years, honestly. And I'd see if anybody could tell the difference, really. Because you don't understand how much you already know, because you haven't been interacting with people and you haven't had the opportunity to actually show that. But you would be surprised. Every single person right here, honestly, you would be extremely surprised at how much that you know and how much value you can offer to folks. So, don't sell yourself short. Don't try to anticipate all the things that they're going to ask, because like I said, and to this day, I keep asking her, I said, Elaine, you got to tell me, there's got to be somebody who asked your experience. She's like, nope, not at all. Not one person.
Again, you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me for what I have to say.
I don't hate anybody. I don't hate anybody. Well, maybe.
If there is in a real estate conversation, it gets deep, real fast, that I honestly have to say, I will not ever tell you, that I don't know, but so I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I mean, there is like almost, I don't know, not every conversation, but almost every conversation that gets into, and a lot of times the conversation gets deep into, mortgaging and rates and all these other things that a lot of people actually don't know those answers anyways. But I'm just finding that like there's definitely at least a couple questions or a few questions, maybe even just one that I definitely have to say, I don't know. And it's every single time.
Here's the thing. You're probably confusing a little bit about this. Now, listen, when it comes to real estate, let's answer those questions all day long. And if we don't know them, say like, something, that's a great question. Let me get back to you. Let me get the answer. I don't have the answer right now. Let me get back to you. The trust factor in something like that goes up tremendously when you say that. The other thing is too, is we've got to know to stay in our lanes. If somebody starts talking about the underwriting process and lending and mortgage rates and something like that, say like, you know something, this is exactly why we should probably get together with my lender and have that discussion. They can answer all those questions. I don't want to step on their toes. So why don't we arrange a call and a conference call and let's get them on there and let's talk about that, right?
Yes,
So-
correct. However, I have realtor friends that are very versed in a lot of different modalities when it comes to real estate, whether it's lending or investing or, and I think, and again, I'm not trying to be negative. Trust me, but I think it comes to these people are studied. They really are studied. One of my contacts was a CFO at a company for like 20 years. The guy's a brilliant guy.
Okay.
And now he's a realtor. There's no way I could compete with him, but I don't intend to. There's no reason for me to. But the difference, what he brings to the table is different than what I would bring to the table. You know what I mean? It's just hard to think that I have the knowledge that this guy has. I would never have the knowledge that he reads all these financial papers, and he's like, well, actually, he's about to become a mortgage lender. So anyway, but the interesting thing is that, you know, I've never felt comfortable of saying that I'm going to be this expert when I'm not, you know? So I don't know, just throwing it out there.
I'd say you, honestly, I would say that you really should reevaluate your mindset and what you have there, because you'd be surprised. I can almost guarantee you that, and I don't know how many conversations you have, but I can almost guarantee you nobody's going to come up and sit there and say like, well, how long you've been doing this and how long. I mean, we have to know our roles. We have to know our areas of expertise. And if there's something that we don't know, say like, yeah, I'm going to say that for the attorney. Do you really think that I'm going to be talking about trust and probate and doing things like that? I've got a general overview, but I'm not going to dive deep in that because that's not my area of expertise. But I'm a real estate specialist. I have the resources. Let me put you in touch with somebody who can answer your question, right? Absolutely. And when it comes to real estate, your friend who was a CFO, you could tell me that they were CFO, ACP, CPA, all that other stuff, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. We're talking real estate, right? And if you're already coming out of the gate, limiting yourself and putting yourself down compared to other people that are out there, then you're going to have a tough time. What you have to do is you have to say like, all right, how did that person get to be that way? Well, they just went out and they did stuff. They talked to people. They had conversations. They learned it through the process. That's what I'm going to do, right? And that's how I'm going to do it.
As I said, I definitely bring something to the table that other people don't. And I think everyone's unique in that way. I mean, I'm not comparing myself to him, but I mean, he certainly has a leg up on a lot of levels, you know.
Why are you comparing yourself to him anyways?
Within a few years, he became the 6th top salesperson, and he sits there still in his company. So, you know, I mean, there are things that he has that I'll never have, like the work ethic. He works 15, 16 hours a day still.
But there are things that you have that he doesn't have.
Yeah.
And you got to identify that.
Mhm.
I agree.
And I don't know why you're comparing yourself with him anyways. You know, I mean, honestly, it's just, he's who he is. You are who you are. You know, I'm who I am. You know, Eric and William, they're who they are. You know, listen, we all have our own things. We're all going to contribute in our own way. But honestly, it's just, you have to basically come out there and sit there and say like, I'm who I am and this is who I'm going to be. If I don't know the answer, I get the answer. But you know something, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do, like for me, if I want to, my idea of success is different than your idea of success, right? It's different than the other guy's idea of success. So you go out there and say like, I'm going to do everything I can so I can achieve my idea of success. If that's doing 10 transactions a year, then fine, so be it. If it's doing 100, absolutely, you know, but you do you, right? And don't worry about anybody else and comparing yourself. You got to go out there, and when you go out there and you take action, the consistent action, I guarantee you, you're going to sit there and take a step back and be like, holy crap, you know, I do know what I'm talking about, and I kind of do know this business, and I do have value to bring to this, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think I still convinced you, but I'm trying. We're working on it. We're working on it. We'll get you there.
I was at a mixer last night with a bunch of realtors, and 2 of them were like millionaires, and they had attitudes, and I didn't like them, and so I didn't even talk to them. But I
Okay.
knew it right off the bat that I have something that these guys don't have, but they are
Absolutely.
millions of dollars a year, and I'm like, wow, man, it just made me think about some things,
But here's the thing, you're letting other people impose their beliefs on you. I had a coach, it wasn't that long ago, and I was coming up with different ideas for the program. And I was talking to these veteran agents who've been in business for a while, and their father was an agent, a broker, and all this stuff. And they knew the business inside and out. So I ran it by them, and they're like, no, that'll never work. What are you kidding? No, that won't work. So I'm like, coach, and I'm telling him about it, and he's like, why do you care what they think? Try it, see if it works. Sure enough, I put it out there, and you know something? It did work. But if I had stopped because I let them tell me what was going to work and not work based on what their thoughts were, never would have seen the success, right? But I decided, I'm like, something, screw it. If I think it's going to work, it's going to work. And it did.
Well, Darren, that's why we all should take bold. Because
Yeah,
after
actually,
bold, it's a
yeah.
totally different ball game. Once you take bold, it's the word bold. It makes you bold enough to feel confident in what you're doing
Yeah,
in the business.
absolutely.
So definitely take bold.
There's $600 for who has, I don't know.
Well,
It's an
look at
investment
it
in
this way.
your business. It's an
Yeah.
investment in your business, like when you market yourself. Sometimes we spend $600 on stuff that we don't even need. This is your future.
Here's the thing. If you took bold and you invested $600 in there, but you could get 3 transactions out of that deal, and that would total like $12,000, would that be worth it?
There's a lot of things you can spend $600 on to make your business.
Like what?
Advertising.
So you're going to spend $600 on advertising. It's going to go out to a whole bunch of people that don't know you. If you do that once, you're losing $600. You're throwing $600 away.
Yeah, well, I wish I had $600.
Well, you do? Here's what I would say is for anybody who's thinking about bold and is not sure about it, okay, and it's like $600, is it worth it? Talk to the people in your office about it. Talk to the bold presenter that's coming up. The next one that you see that's coming to your market center is going to be involved in it. Talk to them. Then talk to the folks in your market center, your ATL, your TL, your coach, your broker, and just say, hey, listen, $600 is a lot for me. I don't know if I really should be doing this. They'll help you to come up with a way that is going to allow you to participate in bold, and maybe they can work something out for you. Honestly, guarantee it. They will not turn people away, and they'll come up with a plan that's going to help you to do that. All right.
Hey, Darren.
Yeah.
So just a couple of thoughts from some of the things you guys have been talking about. One, so I attended Virtual Bold, and I was actually sponsored by a local lender, 0 pennies out of my hand. So there's ways, so like you're saying, there's definitely ways to get it done. Sometimes you just got to talk to people to get creative, find them out. Two, I understand Steven's mindset. I don't necessarily say, I don't necessarily adhere to it, but I understand it. When you talk about, talking to people and, they ask you questions that you don't know the answers to, and then you've got the right answers. You're saying, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. Well, drawing it back to what Darren said a little bit ago, you contact a person 8 to 10 times before they look at you as the real estate expert. You've just given yourself a path to 2 of those contacts. You know what I mean? So I think the way you look at, I don't think you have to change a thing if you just look at things slightly different than maybe, your current lenses are offering them. There's 180,000 Keller Williams agents worldwide. Are they all equal? Absolutely not. Are they all getting their own slice of the pie? Yes. So, it's there for all of us. I don't have to be, I don't have to compete with Elon Musk. I can just, he doesn't live in my area. He doesn't have a vested interest in my neighborhood. He doesn't know the schools. He doesn't have kids going to school with other people's kids who are looking to set, there's so much about you, regardless of what your level of expertise is, that sets you apart, that gives you a leg up, and that provides value for those you communicate with. So I mean, so it's not, you don't have to look at somebody as, as black and white as you are. What they're doing works for them, but there's so much more that you have that they could never hope to compete with. So anyway, it's just a way of looking at things.
I appreciate that, Eric.
Yeah, Eric, it's funny you bring it up because there is a bold law that's out there, and the bold laws are basically a lot of positive sayings that the original creator of bold, Diana Kokoska, kind of grabbed from a whole bunch of other people. But one of the bold laws is change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change, right? And it's one of these things that, if like we talk about reframing, and Eric said, look at it through a different lens. If you just shift your perspective just a little bit, and the great thing about bold is one of the first things they focus on is mindset, and getting you into that mindset of being like, hey, I can do this. I got this. My confidence is right there. That's why it's good to take that. Just that alone can help immensely. Okay. So yeah, you can have the limiting beliefs, and you can have the view that you're doing, but just shift it just differently. And what we're trying to do is just get you to kind of see things slightly different. And that's going to help you to really kind of open up and say like, yes, I can do this. And by taking the action, consistent action, whatever that is, you're going to realize just how incredible you are as the person that you want to be, as the real estate agent that you want to be. All right. And by going out there and letting everybody know who you are, that's going to make a world of difference, not for them, but for you, more importantly. And that's the way that you actually kind of get the ball rolling and know the value that you bring. Okay. Now, Stephen, I got to ask you, do you actually have a productivity coach in your office?
I'm sure I do. I haven't tapped into that.
I would definitely look into it. And if you don't, then reach out to me and let me know. Okay.
Coaching is another expense, right?
It all depends. Everybody's set up differently. Sometimes it's part of when you have a closing. So there's nothing up front. It's just part of when you have a closing. But anyway, reach out to me. Look into that and let me know either way if you have a coach or if you don't. Okay. Promise me you'll do that.
Will do.
Okay. We got a whole bunch of other witnesses on there. How many people actually heard him say that? So just make sure that, we follow up with him. All right.
I heard it.
There you go. There you go.
I heard it.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Excellent. So the last part of social media is just servicing, right? And this is just basically what we talked about before, about following up and actually making sure that we're interacting and engaging with the folks that are out there. So if we're reaching out to people and they get back to us and we're having that direct communication, that's great. But we can actually start that by people liking our posts or asking questions or doing things. Then we engage them, and then we meet up with them offline and then find out a little bit about what's interesting them about what we're posting out there, right? So that comes with, servicing and liking and doing all that other stuff. All right. So now let's take a look at, all right, how do we basically put our social media plan together? All right. Now, one of the things that they recommend is when you post things out there on social media, no matter what the platform is to make it 80% personal and 20% business. If you want to have a Facebook business page, that's great. I would say that whatever you put on the Facebook business page, make sure you share it with your personal page. All right. So you can have a little bit of a dichotomy there. All right. But what we want to do is we want to put ourselves out there so that people can see us, and they can see us as the human being that we are, but then also know that we're a real estate specialist, right? Because at this point, nobody's going to be coming to you. So it's up to us to go out to them. And that's why we're doing all of this in the first place, is so that we can have that conversation. But when we post things, just make sure that we're doing 80% personal so that people can see who you are, know who you are as the person, but then they can also see that professional side of you as well, too. And it's a good way for you to really connect with folks. People like to see both sides. They like to see, okay, who is this person when they're not doing real estate, and who are they when they are in real estate? So just food for thought on that. All right. So now we're going to work on taking action and developing our plan. All right. So we learned a lot about different types of prospecting steps here. We focused on 4 of them that were in there. All right. But what we're doing is we're actually going to narrow down, okay, anywhere from the 3 to 5 different types of prospecting actions that we're going to take. Because honestly, if we have any more than 5, we're just going to be overwhelming ourselves. Now we're losing our perspective. Now we're losing our focus. It says 80% of the agents that are out there get 90% of their business from 5 sources or less. Let's become specialists in these 3, 4, 5 areas that are in there. All right. And One of the things that we want to do right now is focus on our database, because we already talked about that. Our database is important. These are people that know and trust you. That should be probably the #1 priority that we take right now, is our database, right? And then beyond that, we start sprinkling in some of the other things. Maybe open houses are what you want to do, all right? Maybe your direct engagement on social media is what you're going to do. Maybe there's door knocking, all right? Maybe there is basically hosting seminars. I got to tell you, buyer seminars, even seller seminars, some of the easiest things to put together. Because what you do is you gather up a couple of people that you know, an attorney, an inspector, and a lender, and you introduce them and then let them talk about their role. It's a great way to actually get some interaction with folks that are out there, all right? But what you want to do is you want to be able to have a way to take a look at each one of these methods that you're using and see if they're working or not. So each week we want to evaluate each of these prospecting actions that we're taking and say like, okay, what's my return on investment? All right, I'm putting time into this activity. Am I seeing the returns? I'm putting time into this activity. Am I seeing the returns on that? Maybe a week is too soon. Maybe you take a month after you do these actions consistently each week, and then you see, all right, this is working, this is not working, all of that, okay? If you actually look at page 12 in your participant guide here, okay? We're going to be talking about the things that are essentially what we want to do and what we may not want to do, but may help us to get out of our comfort zone, all right? Part of this has to do with our strengths. Like I talked about before, or maybe I didn't mention, I may have mentioned it the other time, but I want to focus on our strengths. What are our strengths? What is it that we do well? And that's going to be one of the primary, basically, resources that we're going to use. And then we want to step out of our comfort zone on some of the other things. So if you're really good at, let's say, texting or calling people, but you're not necessarily good at face-to-face, then make sure that you're reaching out to people that you know through phone, through text and all that. And then maybe spend an afternoon or maybe a weekend morning or whatever and start going around the neighborhood, door knocking, so that face-to-face now can get a little bit more comfortable with that. So we take a look at the actions that we're going to take. If you actually go to page 13, here are the things that we want to do. We want to basically go through and we're going to filter through what actions that we're going to take. So if we take a look at what we have here, we're going to essentially look at anything that we're doing currently or anything that we think we might want to do, okay, with our prospecting. And we're going to list 10 different things that are there. And just start putting them down. Start making a list. They don't have to be in any particular order because the second step is us prioritizing it. But go through, pick out 10 different things that you think you might want to do. And if we go back to, what page is that? Page 4 in the booklet here. Yep, page 4 actually had all of these prospecting items. And if you don't see one that's on here, that's something that you want to try, and go ahead. Because remember, it falls under those 6 categories of texting, calling, email, old school mail, social media, and face-to-face. But find new ways to actually reach out there and connect with people. Then prioritize it. All right. Go in there and say like, okay, what's going to be top one? What's going to be the second one all the way through? All right. List all 10 of them in order. And then just go with the top 5. But keep the other 6 through 10 so that if one of those ones that you have in the top 5 isn't working, replace it with one of the other ones. And remember, we don't want to get any bigger than just having 5 ways of prospecting, because we're going to get overwhelmed and we're going to lose focus and we're going to be basically diluted across all these activities. You may end up with 3 things that you do that become what works for you. And honestly, it really doesn't take more than that, because once something works, you're going to keep using it. You're going to keep doing everything. All right. Now, what we want to do is we want to put this into plan. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about, okay, if you go to page 14 in your guide, we're going to do page 14, 15, and 16 here. All right. And we're not going to do it here, but this is your homework. I want everybody to do this afternoon or do it over the weekend. But you're going to take all of the activities that you put in there, all right, the 5 of them that are going to be your top 5, narrow down to 3 if you want on page 14, or even do 5 of them, okay, and start going through the pros and cons of each of them. And what this does is this allows you to address any issues that you may have with this. If you say like, well, I got door knocking as number 2, the pros are that, yeah, I'm going to build up my confidence of speaking face to face, but the cons are people are going to slam the door in my face. Okay. They're going to slam the door in your face. They're going to say, sorry, not interested. Okay. Is that really that bad? But what we're doing is we're confronting potential things that could happen or any of our fears ahead of time. We're saying, you know something, okay, that's the worst that can happen. So what? Like to tell the story that when I first got out of school and I got a job, I was on a customer service line for an insurance company. And, you know, when you're on a customer service line, people like to call up and just tell you how bad you are. They'll do that on purpose. That's the thing. So they're calling you to put you down and to tell you how bad you are. So it's basically all day long. It's just, you know, you suck and things are bad and all this stuff. Okay. Now, if we're calling people or we're door knocking and all they do is they hang up on us or they slam the door in our face, big deal, really, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, right? So instead of people actively hunting you down and saying, look, I want to tell you how bad you are, what we're doing is we're basically saying like, okay, they're just hanging up on us, just slam the door. Okay, go on to the next one. No big deal, right? It could be a lot worse, right? Things could be much worse. However, we're addressing any concerns or any fears that are coming up so that we can sit there and say like, okay, it's really not as bad as I thought. You know, I'm addressing the fears that I have in that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to, on page 15, we're going to go through and we are going to dive in a little bit more about that activity. And we're going to talk about what it is about that activity that we can actually use, okay, and put it into, you know, getting more detail about it. All right, so part C is picking a prospecting method and going through a little bit more detail. What resources am I going to need? What's the time frame on it? Who's the target? All right. How will I know if I'm successful? Again, your return on investment on that. And then part D, okay, what could go wrong and what actions can I take ahead of time? Again, we're addressing potential issues that can come up, but some of these we may not know until we actually go out and we take the action. Now, I'd said in the beginning that taking consistent action was the key to this, right? We just got to do something. And it almost doesn't matter what we do, but if we go out and we do something, whether it's calling, whether it's texting, whether it's door knocking, whether it's having a client event, whatever it is, okay, we just need to do something. Go out and experiment, right? If you find something works, keep doing it. If you find something doesn't work, then stop doing it. But if we don't do anything, you know, we're basically dead in the water. And I always like to say too that you either get better or you get worse. And if we're not doing anything, then chances are we're getting worse. But we always want to grow our business. We want to get out there and we want to help as many people as possible. We have to let them know we're there to help them too. And that's why we do this. But if you take the consistent action, you'll be good. You will actually, you know, you'll see progress. And if you really want to find out how well you're doing, is keep a journal every day of what you do. At the end of the day, go back and reflect on the actions that you took, maybe results that you're seeing, any of that stuff. Have that in there. And then go back and read it. After about 6 months, you're going to be shocked at what you're doing at that 6 month part versus what you were doing in the beginning and what you thought you were capable of. That is a big way to really see your progress and see what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. All right. So good. So now we're going to go through and just kind of review some of the things that are in here. So what sort of, does anybody have any questions, first of all? I know we kind of went through this pretty quickly, so I apologize here, but I thought we had some good discussions of the other points, and you know, I'd rather have the discussions and help people with that than some of these other things that are on here. But
I have a question, and
yeah,
I kind of had to pop in and out, so I'm sorry if you already answered this. But
okay.
to rewind back to when we were talking about open house and kind of an open house etiquette question, in the events that say I'm doing an open house for a fellow agent, do you feel it's sort of stepping on toes or just not very thoughtful to take the information of the person I gave the open house to, not necessarily to sign on, but to add to a database?
Well, it depends. We talked a little bit about that in terms of the if you have a sign-in sheet, if basically you say on the sign-in sheet, it's like, do you have a signed agreement with an agent? Okay. And if yes, who it is. If they say, if they don't check that off or they don't have one, then yeah, it should be a contact that you can take advantage of. But you have to talk to the agent about that as well too, the listing agent. Just make sure that part of, you know, you doing this is so that you can actually have anybody who comes in and is unrepresented. So yeah, that's something. I just make sure you check with the agent, make sure that they have the same agreement, and then go from there.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, Christopher, got a question?
Yeah,
Hi. Um, First of all, I wanted to thank Steve, and I thought that was some real good dialogue, and thank you for sharing a lot of your state of mind before making calls, because it's something I relate to a lot. Two questions I had. The first one, one thing Stephen brought up was kind of a scenario that was like peripheral steering of one of his clients. It wasn't on his behalf, it was on the client's behalf. I mean, how would we handle like a request from a potential seller that would be, a little questionable, kind of like what he had mentioned?
Yeah, what I would say is like, just ask them, say, like, listen, can you clarify? Because I want to have an understanding. Unfortunately, we are not allowed to discriminate. It's illegal. And we definitely don't want to start steering or red line doing anything like that. We are trained professionals, and that runs the risk of, creating some major problems, and I could potentially lose my license. So, if we are going to move forward, then we have to have the understanding that this listing is open to everyone and anyone that's out there. Okay, we cannot segregate, we can't discriminate, any of that. But if that's the thought process and that's the avenue you want to go down, then I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you're going to probably have to find somebody else to work with.
Okay, so very, very
Thank you
straightforward.
for bringing that up real quick. I just want to say, I think it was, I talked about a friend of mine who sold their house on their own, correct?
Yeah, I think that was it. That was the parameter of it. Yeah.
And now that I think of it, I'm quite, and I'm not positive, but I think this is why they sold their house on their own, because they knew that they're a Harvard educated couple. They knew that what they were doing was potentially unethical for a realtor to do. So that's why they probably ended up saying, we're going to do this ourselves. So thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate that.
But that's also justification too, because you talk about people who are Harvard educated and all that stuff, but they were doing something that was illegal, so they can't really be that smart. Nothing against people who graduated from Harvard. I know a few people, but still, just putting you talk about people putting people on pedestals when in actuality maybe they don't deserve to be there too. So.
Oh, I know not plenty, but I know a number of Harvard graduates that aren't that smart when it comes to certain things. Trust me.
Well, there's a difference between book smarts and street smarts too.
Absolutely, absolutely. But whether you're book smart or not, and the law is the law. And I questioned it right from the beginning when they said they wanted the neighborhood to be more Jewish. I was like, and they're not even Jewish. They just wanted their neighbors begged them for years to, if they sold, that they wanted. And I just thought that this reeked. I don't know. There's something weird about it.
Nope, not doing business with you. Sorry.
Well, it definitely gives a good answer. Thank you very much. The second one was, is there any like specific strategy with LinkedIn versus Facebook? Because I know LinkedIn typically taps into a different network. I'm trying to utilize it a lot because I've built, over the years, a little bit stronger pool of people.
Yep.
Any advice or direction with how to start those conversations, or any different approach?
Here's what I'd say is that I would say use both platforms exactly the same, and then just measure the responses and the results that you're getting. LinkedIn tends to be more of a professional job network where it's more about careers and things like that. So your connections are going to take longer on LinkedIn versus Facebook. Facebook is more of it's personal and professional. You got a hodgepodge of everything that's out there. But try both platforms and then start monitoring what people engage with and what people don't engage with and how they engage. Because you could put the same thing on both platforms, but you might not get the same reactions, but then you also won't get as many timely reactions as well. Now, listen, I'm not a social media expert. I'm just going off of the things that I've heard. But what I tend to do is I use both the same, but I don't put as much personal stuff on LinkedIn as I would on Facebook. That's how I look at it. So it all depends on the clientele that you're going after, and what is. If you find more of the people that you're targeting as your clients, like that, what you want to do are on Facebook and they have their groups and things like that, then go that way. If you feel that they're more on LinkedIn and you're getting more success there, then by all means, But again, it comes down to experiment, right? We don't want to cut off one to save the other when we can use both of them at the same time and say, okay, let's see what works. Who knows, right? Take the chance. I mean, honestly, just go out there and see what works, really. You're never going to know. Sorry, that's a long-winded answer of saying, I don't know. So, all right, William, you got a question?
Yes, Darren, I hosted an open house. The big nugget I took from today was that I didn't work the people coming in as much as I should have, as far as asking questions if I could help them in the future, or something that they may be looking for in particular.
Right, right. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I mean, and listen, this comes with practice, right? Like we didn't all of a sudden, we're born and we knew how to walk, right? We still had to crawl, and then we stood up and we fell down a bunch of times, and then we started walking, right? Same thing with this business. And in this business too, it's, you've got to take action to learn. You've got to basically stumble and fall along the way to get going. So when it comes to open houses, all right, the first open house is going to be different than your 10th open house, which is going to be different than the 100th one. Okay, you're going to start to refine the things that you do, the questions that you ask, and how you present. And again, it's about experimenting, right? Hey, I asked a question last weekend, and I use it a lot, and I got people to really open up about their real estate, intention. So I'm going to keep using it. That's going to be good. Sometimes it just happens, but again, you got a good solid base. And I'm going to stress this, like I said in the beginning, on a scale of 1 to 10 for real estate, we're all at a 7 or 8 right now. Okay, maybe approaching a 9, and everybody else that you talk to is at a 2. So be the educator, be the professional, be the person out there, and listen, we're not going to know everything, but people appreciate that, and they trust you when you say, like, instead of making up an answer, you'd say, something, great question. Let me get back to you on that. I don't have the answer for you, unfortunately, but I'll get it to you. Sure, why not, right? Eric, how about you? You got a question?
Well, I just have another statement. On the topic of open houses, we were looking at houses a while back prior to me being licensed. And yeah, I got to meet a lot of agents in the process, of varying levels of expertise. And the one that immediately comes to mind, she was super gregarious. She talked to it, she wasn't necessarily always, pushing her real estate part, but she was very talkative. She was very engaging. That's probably the best word to use, very engaging. Mm-hmm. Anyway, out of all the people, all the agents that we saw and all the open houses we went to, and we went to many because we were looking for about 3 years because we thought we were going to be having members of my family move in with us. So we had a very specific vision we were looking at. But anyway, so we saw tons of people, and she's the one that stuck out. She had been in the business less than 11 months, and she was a 6-figure earner. And that was all like 99% attributed to the fact that she just was engaging. I mean, that was her primary thing. And she's the one that I remember to this day, years later. And so, so I just say this because, like, your amount of expertise or the length of time you've been in the business, it has so little to do with it if you really think about it. For me, and I realize not everybody's looking at the same things I'm looking at, but for me as a buyer, what was important to me is somebody that wanted to talk, somebody that wanted to hear what I had to say, that sort of thing. So you kind of started up the conversation. So anyway, so I'm just throwing that out there because I think that's something we should all be, cognizant of. Is it doesn't matter if you've been in this game 20 years. You can be a rock star out of the gate and nobody will ever know the difference.
Right. And that's the thing too. There are going to be, one of the things that we have to remember too is that we are not desperate enough to take business from everybody. So if somebody is really hung up on the fact that we may be new, then that's fine. And if you can't convince them, that's fine. Maybe you don't want to work with them anyways. All right. That's the thing. You're going to have to pre-qualify people. And I always say that too. If I go to a listing appointment, I work with a buyer, say, like, listen, I know you're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing you at the same time because you have to make sure it's a match for both of us. And unfortunately, if it's not a match, then I'll let you know ahead of time and I'll make sure that we connect you with somebody who might be a better match. But that puts them on guard as well too. And when we're if we're trying to anticipate everything and anything that they're going to ask, we may not be there. I'm definitely afraid of snakes. And if I sat there and said, like, well, what if they got a pet snake in the house? And I started thinking about that and worrying about that every single time, that's going to throw me off. But if I go in saying, like, look, I prepared as much as I can. I've read the scripts. I've got that, maybe they do, maybe they don't. We'll see. You get there and deal with things as they come up. But the scripts are going to give you the confidence to go in and you're going to feel confident and you're going to be prepared for just about every situation.
I was talking to somebody yesterday that said they had no contacts in their contact, the command contacts. They had very few people in their phone, but they had an incredible first year and they got their license when I did last summer. And I said to myself, I didn't say to anybody, but I said it to myself, I'm not in this to sprint to the finish line. I'm a marathoner here, but this woman is very attractive and young, and I don't know what her background is, frankly, but I have a feeling she's connected to a lot of people that it threw her some bones. But I don't know. I just found it interesting that it doesn't, as Eric was saying, as you were saying too, Darren. Whatever works for you, and keep doing what you're doing. If it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah. I would also say too, that in this environment, when things get really good in real estate, you got a lot of people that are short-term agents. And the reason why I call them short-term agents is they're coming in for the quick money, and they're not building the foundation. They're not establishing their business, and they're not becoming business owners. They're just there for, okay, I got to get the next transaction and the next one. And they don't care if they're burning bridges with clients, with other agents and stuff like that, but it's a hot mess, right? And I'm not saying that this person is. However, if we don't start off in the beginning with the fundamentals and putting those together and building a business and knowing that this is long-term because we're building a real estate lifestyle, okay, then you're not going to be in this business for very long. I don't care how much business you're doing, right? You're just basically flying by the seat of your pants at that point, like a bull in a china shop. You've got to put things in place as you're building your business and you're working with clients that are going to make sure that this lasts long-term. So when the market shifts, okay, and all the short-term folks drop out, you are still able to build a business. You're still able to be successful. You're still able to do what you have to do because you put the proper basic processes and systems and everything in place. And that's what it is. So if you're not using your database and you're not using the smart plans and you're not using command and you don't have anybody in your phone, okay, that's great right now while things are, flying off, houses are flying off the shelves. But what happens when we get to a balanced market? What are you going to do then, right? You have nothing to fall back on, but probably need more information on that before you can go that route. So what else? What other things can I answer? What other things can I cover here? All right.
Thank you for today, Darren.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And listen, I'm going to put out my email address. All right. So you've got my phone number on the description here. So call me or text me or email me. If you don't have a coach, or if you want to chat about mindset, or if you're looking to get in and either do your own script practicing or join ours, reach out to me and let me know. Anything that we can do to help, because I know in the beginning it's very, very difficult, but you got to understand you got a tremendous amount of support here, and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to succeed. Okay.
Thanks, Darren.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I highly recommend Darren. So.
Roberta, I told you, I said I'd get the money to you by tomorrow. All right.
I'm just making sure you understand our agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy the weekend too.
Have a great day. Have a good weekend.
You
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.